Hello and welcome back to the Goat Cave podcast. After over a year and a half, we're back, and I'm so excited. Today's guest is most known for his unmatched skill and style when it comes to park riding. His originality is so refreshing in today's age of repetitive trick combos. It's clear he takes a lot of influence from freestyle motocross with his flip combinations, but he also embodies that mid-school era with simple tricks like tables, turndowns to fakie, and Supermans over double wing spines. He represents Canadian BMX so well with his positive attitude and genuine care for the BMX community. There's no doubt in my mind, Carson Donovan will make his mark on the Canadian BMX scene and put himself on the ranks of Jay Miron, Dave Osato, and Drew Bezanson. Carson, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Just hanging in there. Usual day in the life of Carson. Just out there digging snow to bowls and riding bikes. Yesterday we were at Beeline and we are getting all these kids doing like a whip contest, hitting a bell out of the air. It was super funny. Kind of funny at Beeline. Sometimes I just organize the kids there to do all this funny, hectic stuff of high air contests and mini contests beyond themselves, and it's hilarious just to see little kids at 10 years old be so competitive in between themselves, and the things they do is pretty amazing.
Definitely, man. Beeline is one of those parks that I think, they've done a really good job at creating a community. I've always felt that Beeline is a lot similar to Joyride in its community and the way that park has pushed people with their riding and whatnot. You're a great example of that, in my opinion.
Cool. Well, thanks for the kind words on that introduction, Cam. You're really pumping me up for this episode. And I'm still living off that high of Florida Swampfest, coming back home, still pumping from that. And so now we're just keeping the wave going, the momentum going. And next weekend, we're going out to Vancouver for the BC Bike Show. So we got some more stunt shows coming up and more ways for us to ride bikes.
Dude, that's awesome. How long have you been doing stunt shows for?
So the momentum between these stunt shows has really accelerated in the past couple of years. And so it's one of my friends from Edmonton, Mark Stanway, and he found a business partner to help fund this mission of ours to buy a $5,000 airbag lander, buy some scaffolding, and then send out tons and tons of, props and quotes to anyone who will listen to us trying to sell a stunt show nowadays. And so it all started back in, I don't know, maybe 2016, where in Calgary, we had this snowboard skate shop, BMX shop called Mission BMX shop in Calgary. It was in Kensington. It was owned by Ken Dowdle. He's a OG BMX rider, and he gave me a call when I was just young coming up. And he's like, hey, man, we got a stunt show going on in the BMO Center downtown Calgary. You want to come and do some backflips? I was like, yeah, man, I'm your backflip kid. Let's go. And so that was a really cool experience. Even when I was super young, I was 13 at the time and been doing backflips for a couple of years. And so I was just right on my high horse about being able to do backflips in the show for this guy. And so did that show with him. I learned front flips during that show. And I landed on my back and butt 10 times during that show. But the people fed into it and they loved seeing my tries and fails and triumphs over learning a new trick just in front of the show. And then from there, that shop ended up sponsoring me and helped me out with more bike parts because I break a lot of bike parts trying all these silly tricks.
Dude, that's awesome. I've always found stunt shows are just such a great example of BMX and kind of showcasing that to the average person. Because a lot of the times, the people that are going to stunt shows, they might be into some form of cycling. Maybe they're even a big fan of BMX, right? And they want to go and check it out. But I find it's just such a good way, man, especially with the airbag too, because it gives you more opportunities to try tricks that maybe you wouldn't fully be willing to try, but you got a crowd hyping you up and, everybody wants to see you land it. I bet that there's a lot of kids that get inspired by stunt shows.
Yeah, the energy at the stunt show is pretty much unmatched, right? Because these people have no idea what BMX really is. And so when we get to give them a positive perspective of BMX right at the start, where we make a show doing small easy tricks and progress to like really cool tricks, like ending the show off with a double backflip, makes a long, profounding impression on those kids in the show, right? And so it's one of my favorite ways to contribute to BMX, right? Is just introducing to people to BMX, right? And it's really cool because, like all of us, like you and I, if you were exposed to BMX for the first time and brainwashed into core BMX riders you are now.
Definitely. And like I was saying, like stunt shows and just park riding in general are such a digestible form of BMX. I find that with street riding or even trails or somebody who's really good at ripping bowls, a lot of the time I feel like that's more for the core dudes that are in it and they can really appreciate, more simplistic stuff. And the stunt shows is like, man, I just love it. I think that that and also Cirque du Soleil when they were doing that. I talked to Stephen Moxley when he was involved. Man, that's just such a great way to expose BMX to, the average person.
Yeah, I think it's really special. Definitely want to keep the momentum beyond our stunt shows going up. And it's pretty sweet for all the stunt shows in Canada too, right? Because Jeffrey Whaley, he has his BMX Spectacle stunt shows going on. Mike Varga has his shows going on. And we have our airbag out here. So it's pretty awesome that we can all be ambassadors of the sport and introduce people to BMX.
Dude, absolutely. Going back a minute here, you were saying that you just got back from Swampfest recently. It looked absolutely insane this year. It always does. Every year it looks crazy. But this year in particular, there's a pirate ship and a dock with a quarter on the end of it. You got people lighting fireworks off at people. It looked insane.
Yeah, Swampfest is definitely one to remember. You go to Swampfest and you want to experience the Swampfest, and that's kind of like the civil war of all Florida moshing together with extreme action sports blended in there. So Swampfest was really sweet. The trip went well. I got to go with one of my good friends from Saskatoon, Seth Varga, and so we got to fly out on an Air Canada flight together, make it to Orlando, get a rent car, get to Swampfest, and the Friday was really sweet because we got to stay in the Best Western right on Friday, and so we got to be like fresh, prepared, ready to go for Friday, and so we got like the full day of Friday of riding in because we were anticipating Saturday's rain to kind of ruin the riding and not have much fun on our trails. So we definitely made the best of our Friday, and we got to film the shit out of it, share our perspectives of us setting up our camp and all the crazy swamp people you find in Florida. And it's pretty sweet, man. You got to see all our friends from Canada down there. Like, I think this year in total we had like 13 Canadians at Swampfest again, which was pretty amazing. So definitely sweet seeing our cool friends there from Eastern Canada at Swampfest again. Like as you know, your previous podcast host, Nate, he's down there every year, and he's one of the coolest dudes to ride with. He's super fun.
Dude, absolutely. Nate Vandenberg is awesome. He's one of my favorite riders and really genuine, nice dude. We've gone out and filmed some stuff in Kitchener and just some, street riding. And when you get him and Zach Simiak together, those dudes are just like the greatest duo in my mind. They hype each other up and then, they'll follow each other into things. Like there's a huge gap in town where it's a gap to a manual pad. Now, I have done gap to manual and then turned around and done manual to gap back in. But both those dudes said, fuck it. And on the third attempt, even getting there, they just jumped over the manual pad. And it's probably about a 30-foot gap. And it's definitely nothing to fuck around with. And these dudes are just like throwing tricks on it, ready to go. I love it, man. Those two are wild.
Yeah, the energy they bring to like a couple of our timeless BMX jams this past summer is really sweet, man. Definitely rise words for those guys, man. They're definitely good dudes. Out for them anytime.
Absolutely. So every year at Swampfest, I feel like there's a multitude of just crazy features. One of the things that I feel like always is unappreciated is the dirt jumps. So You got to ride the jumps this year. What were the trails like?
The trails were pretty mint. So I believe it was Nutter building the trails, right? And him and his crew, they've built like they're just in Arlington building the Toyota Triple Challenge jumps and stuff like that, X Games courses and shit like that. And so the trails really felt like trick jumps, and they kind of appear to be like all hips, but they're kind of like all straight jumps for the most part, and you just kind of turn after. Uh, Anyways, the jumps are sweet, super maintained, ridden well, and it was really cool seeing everyone embrace the jumps there because they had the medium line and the big line, so it got everyone involved. All the girls were out riding, having a super fun time. Like B and her crew was there riding the trails like a boss, and it was sweet, man. Seeing everyone do their own special trail style tricks there, man. Whether if it was like Chase Hawk doing a three table or if it was, you know, Leonardo overall doing a flip turn down, man. It was a pretty sweet show.
Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. I'm not very great at riding trails. I definitely try, and I really like to like hit jumps and whatnot. And I can definitely I shouldn't say I'm not very great at it because I can, for the most part, go and hit gaps and be fine and flow through for the most part. But I always wish I was a little better, But I bet you that if I was at Swampfest, I would have to give some of those jumps a go, man. Like, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, you pretty much just hit autopilot, and the jumps just do all the work for you. They were built really really well. Man.
That's awesome. Is there any feature that from past Swamp Fests that you would love to see come back?
Previous Swamp Fest that should come back. I don't know. What kind of drew me into going to Swamp Fest for the first time, like last year or whatever, is like I was anticipating that there was going to be like some more open loop action behind Swamp Fest, and so I was pretty jazzed up on open loops at the time because I was riding Joyride in 2018, and Matt McDuff was trying some open loop double backflips for his like latest greatest video project of the time in 2018. And from there, I was like, we got to like ride that open loop set up into the foam pit and have fun with him. So that was kind of burning inside me. I was hoping there was going to be one there, but some of the open loops have like previously broken people off and been pretty sketchy, and only a handful of people get to enjoy that part of Swampfest. And so I'm glad Swampfest has pretty chill obstacles now where everyone can enjoy the obstacles and the skate park of it, right? But I hope more open loops come back to Swampfest because that shows like the gladiator perspective of our extreme sport.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I always felt like the open loops as well as the pallet loop was like such a Swampfest-esque thing. Like you really got to have that there. And I mean, I bet you it's such a pain in the ass to build a pallet loop. It's honestly not worth it unless it's like your main feature, right? But I would love to see another open loop setup. I think a lot of people can do an open loop. It's just about like commitment, It kind of does half the work for you from what I've seen, but
yeah, it's pretty sweet. Morgan Wade talks about open loops on every podcast he goes on, man, and his perspective is really, really great on open loops. And if you want to put tricks in open loops too, and beyond all the projects he's done, it's very inspirational. Sorry.
Definitely, man. And that Matt McDuff open double loop that you were talking about, or open loop double flip, sorry. Dude, insane. And he did pull that off from what I remember. And that video is just filled with absolute like hammers nonstop. That dude is just wild.
Yeah, he's built different, that guy, man, from being just like a street mountain biker and then meeting Sam Pilgrim and going through all the big air trials, and who he's become over the years as a person, man, is pretty sweet, man. Definitely have admiration for that guy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. He's another one of those Canadian dudes that I think everybody should kind of look up to in a way,
Yeah. hopefully I can catch up with that guy because he's doing tons of cool shit in Kamloops at his new big air compound where he has like 75-foot mega kickers into airbags and stuff, and so he's pushing the envelope for the sport too, which is really great. And for the listener at home, they should definitely check out Matt McDuff and help sign his petition that big air is not a crime, so then he can keep building all this huge stuff in Canada.
Dude, absolutely. One of my favorite things every year to watch is Darkfest. I don't know if you know what that is. And for the listener that doesn't know, it's basically take the best freestyle mountain bike riders in the world and give them the biggest course ever in South Africa. And dude, the footage that comes out of there is insane. Like one of their jumps is just a nice long and low that's 110 feet long. And dudes are flipping it. There's, the most insane tricks. And then always one of the biggest features there is just like the biggest step up known to man, where you're riding a kicker that's probably, mini mega ramp sized, where it's 25 feet tall. And, your gap that you have to gap up is 30 into, a lander. And these dudes are just throwing the craziest tricks over and over again. It's wild.
Yeah, Darkfest is sweet. And the mountain biking nowadays is sick. It's like a fluffed up version of BMX, right? And so it's pretty sweet. Those mountain bikes feel like monster trucks, and BMX bikes feel like Ferraris, man. They kind of feel like sex with a condom on, but mountain bikes are definitely sweet. And I have one in my closet too, but I ride it like once a year, man. But I always go back to riding BMX, man, just because there's nothing like the feeling you get from your grips and your pedals and the tires on the pavement at the skate park.
Definitely, dude. Yeah, I find some people, they're just BMXers by heart, and I think I'm definitely one of those people. Like, I'm definitely interested in mountain biking, and like I'm always blown away by the dudes who ride these absolutely insane courses, and even just like regular downhill mountain biking. That shit blows my mind, but I think I'm a true BMX rider through and through.
Yeah, man. Did you see the new Caveman frames coming out and that nice hot pink?
Buddy, I know. Dude, I'm so excited. And my soon-to-be wife is very fucking annoyed about it because I have one over there and I have a V1 up there. And now I got to get a V3. You can't have the two other ones and not have the V3. I keep telling her that. She doesn't want to listen, though.
Dude, that looks sick. Hot pink. Miami Hopper style, man. It looks great.
Fuck yeah, man. It's have you ever ridden one of the Caveman frames?
I got to play around on Jason Enns' bike this summer when we were like riding for the Nelson Jam, riding bikes down there, and it feels pretty good. Bash guards are sweet because it just opens up way more tricks. Just like more tricks, more fun, right? Keeps it fresh and super fun to ride.
Dude, absolutely. There's a wooden sub box in town that I went and absolutely fucking destroyed with my bash guard trying to do feeble to like 90 bash guard 180 out back into the bank. And it took me like way too many tries, half of which I was just being a bitch and the other half was me figuring out the like trick. But yeah, that place is like absolutely destroyed because those bash guards chew up everything in their path.
Yeah, it's sweet, man. I don't know. I think everyone should have a bike at home with front and back brakes and a guard sprocket, if not a bash guard, just because it lets you have way more tricks to try and explore, and it brings more creativity behind riding bikes, right? Because if you just have no brakes, no pegs, you pretty much just have like a gymnastics bike, right? And all you can do is like spin, flip, whip, bar, repeat, right? And it's like gymnastics, man. And like, I don't know, the creativity ain't as creative when you're maxing out your flip, spin, and tricks. It's kind of like snowboarding where they're hitting 1880 degrees of rotation in their spins, and they're kind of like peaking it out, man. And like BMX will eventually do the same thing too, man. But if you can keep it fresh and creative with more technical riding, it's like knuckle hut for snowboarding, right? And everyone loves watching the knuckle hawk because that's like the creative part of the sport that's on X Games.
You hear that, people? You ain't going to hear Logan Martin say that. This is literally one of the best Canadian park riders right now saying that he appreciates street riding and more simplistic riding. And that is absolutely wild coming from somebody that can double backflip anything, basically. Dude, I really love that you have such a great attitude when it comes to BMX and you appreciate every aspect of it. Because I feel like sometimes park riding and street riding, people are button heads a lot, and they shouldn't, because man, it's all the same, like realistically it's all the same. It's just different shit that we do it on.
Yeah, you're the artist, and you choose the trick that you put on the obstacle, right? And I don't know, don't take yourself too seriously, right? It's funny. We're just riding bikes, man.
Fuck yeah. So going back on Swampfest, what is your dream like obstacle that they would build? Personally, I've always felt like a whale tail in the middle of like a pond that you have to gap to, and then from to the other side to like a dirt lander. Dude, that'd be wild. Similar to the RV that they had at Woodward West, I think it was.
Yeah, I remember that Woodward Fest. Yeah, man, that was sick. That would be a super cool idea. Hopefully Trey hears that idea and he can digest it. One of the obstacles that I think should come back to the Swamp Fest should be remember Red Bull Skylines, and they had like a step up over an open loop, and it was a huge step up, but they had an open loop feature right in the middle, and hopefully we can insert a clip of that because it's hard to explain because it was very special, and so hopefully we can sort of jump over an open loop. That's what I'd really want to see in Swamp
Dude,
Fest.
that'd be wild. I'd love to see that. And I definitely will be putting a clip there for everybody.
Super. And we got a vlog coming out on DP Bikes coming up next week. And so I carry my GoPro around with me through Swampfest. And so hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I can drop my video on Darcy's YouTube channel at DP Bikes. And then I can show you guys all my struggles of going through the airport with my heavy oversized bag, getting to Swampfest, setting up camp in the rain, and then riding the shit out of that course. So hopefully we can share that content with you guys real soon about Swampfest.
Definitely, dude. I would love to see that. Yeah, is there any other crazy stories you have from Swampfest? I'm sure that there's plenty,
Yeah, there's too many to talk about, right? And so hopefully everyone kind of gets like grips about Swampfest nowadays, but it's kind of turned into like an entertainment show for the most part, where like everyone and their dog who wants a highlight reel on Instagram will go to Swampfest, because when you're in there in that environment, you can definitely tell the people who are skaters, bikers, and then just Florida people. And so hopefully Swampfest doesn't get blown out more in that direction, and hopefully they can keep it true anyways. But I don't know, I have nothing bad to say about Swampfest. Swampfest is a very cool event because it's where the core meets up, right? And so the only place where like the entire industry and core meets up is either Battle of Hastings or in Waldo, Florida this year, right? So it's very sweet, man. It's like a family reunion, right? And so it was sweet seeing like Chris Moeller ride the shit out of those dirt jumps too, man. It was sweet. We also saw like freaking Cult Crew ride the ledges and shit too, right? Like Robbie was out there in his like golf shirt, but he was still riding hard, man. It was sweet.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Robbo. That dude is sick. I love Cult, man. Everything they're doing is pretty cool. I will say I don't know how I feel about, putting your logo on literally everything and selling it, but you know what? Fuck it. They have such a great team, and you got to pay those dudes somehow, right?
Fucking right, man.
Hell yeah. What did you think of Denim Cox and the Common Crew? Did you see them down there?
Yeah, and Devin Cox ended up breaking his ankle this year at Swamp Fest on the swamp rail, and so that was that sketchy independent truck swamp rail that went out by the bull, down, and then kicked back up, and then he ended up falling and twisting his ankle real bad and breaking it. And so,
Oof.
beyond Denim Cox hurting himself, it was definitely cool to see the commentary out there ripping it up. And he's one of like the most humble people out there, man. To chat and have a beer with. He's sick.
Absolutely, man. Denim, he still keeps up with me every once in a while. I love it. The dude is such a shredder and like, again, such a positive attitude. And I bet you that like hanging out with him for an afternoon is probably like you're gonna see the most fucked shit ever. He was telling me about how he had a threesome with two chicks in the back of the epic BMX van, and I was like, that is hilarious, like just insane. And for anybody that's listening that hasn't checked it out yet, Common Crew just released their new video. I think it's called Peaked, and it's super super good. There's some clips in there that happen like an hour before Denim and Sauce came on the podcast, where they're jumping like an orange truck in the desert. Dude, those guys are wild.
Yeah, they turned the Common Crew van into the Bang Bus. That's hilarious. And yeah, he didn't bring his pit bike out this year, man. Or he didn't ride anyone's pit bike, but man, those boys are wild.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, obviously, Swampfest has started incorporating some skater stuff in there, and I was kind of curious what your thoughts are on that. Personally, I've always had kind of a little bit of a background in skateboarding. I'm not a good skateboarder at all, but I really appreciate skateboarding. My dad was a skateboarder for his whole life, basically, and still skates to this day. But when it comes to Swampfest and just like a solid BMX event, it is really interesting to see kind of the mix, and I'm happy that like companies are, joining in and they're having fun with it, and they're willing to kind of support. It's kind of an interesting turn. I'm really curious to see if we're going to see any skate events that add in, some BMX stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really great idea to collaborate in the worlds, right? Because having like last year, independent trucks paid for all the skate light on Swampfest, which was sweet. It made like the course so much better for everyone to kind of ride, and it wasn't super swampy, and everyone could ride it and have fun, right? For the guys at home working their 9 to 5, they can go there for the weekend and have like a sweet weekend to ride the course all weekend, right? And a couple other skate events were really cool, like the OJ's Wild Ride across the pond. That was really special, man. What a wild event that was.
Dude, absolutely. I wish they would have had a kicker right in the middle, like on one of those pieces of plywood. I don't know how well it would have floated, but man, that would be such a sweet thing to add in there.
Yeah, because he saw that they after 2 sheets from the rolling, they had that empty space, and so they had to do a bunny hop across it, and it was hilarious, man. Even the one kid in the three stripe life Adidas red pants or whatever, he did a hop bar spin over the gap and then completed the wild ride to the other side of the pond. It was wild.
Dude, that's sick. That's rad. I love it. Yeah, they did such a good job this year, man. The only complaint that I had was the independent rail. I kind of wish that they would have maybe made the first part of it for skaters and then taken away like a ledge or something, because riding up and dropping into pegs, I feel like is one of those things where if you had to hop onto the rail, 100% people would have like easily done the whole thing. Where you're riding onto it is where it starts to get tricky, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. Because I don't know, man. I was standing right beside Gary Young watching that event, and everyone was riding the struggle bus trying to balance that rail all the way down. And it was right beside the pool too, right? And so the top deck of the bowl was just like a mud haven. It was a little bit compact and should have been spaced out a little bit, but it was all right. Everyone rode that bowl really well for all muddy and dusty and gross. Everyone's tires, grips, and pegs were, man. Everyone rode the shit out of it. It was wild.
Dude, it's wild to build a concrete bowl for a weekend, essentially. I'm really curious, how did that bowl feel? Obviously, you got to ride it. Was it, nice and like tight transitions and whatnot, or what would you say?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was kind of like one of the bowls where you got to drop in with a plan, or else you end up just doing figure eights, or you end up just half piping. But
Yeah.
once you break the ice, then you get to figure out how to hit a pocket, and then you can include both those lines into it, and you can have way more fun with it. And so it's pretty cool having that big wooden quarter pipe there too, because that must have been like their manway for all their concrete hoses and working out of there too. And it was pretty sweet, man. It was we had the tarp over it for the entire weekend, but the rain was so heavy on Saturday that it ended up like busting through the tarp and making a big mess of the bowl. So it was wild to see Corey put on a show on Saturday, being that his bike was definitely wet and muddy and gross, but he still manned up and did the craziest pockets in that bowl. From the wooden quarter pipe over that doorway, all the way to the right to the very end, man. That is wild. Doesn't look possible, and you got to watch it 10 times to even comprehend it.
Dude, I bet going there in person and seeing that gap and then watching Corey do it is just probably the wildest shit ever, you know? That's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a 13-foot bunny hop from a wall, right? So you're on a wall, and then you got a bunny hop 13 feet in the other direction.
Man, that is wild. Now, I want to kind of step away from Swampfest here for a couple minutes. Let's chat about some other awesome BMX events. And one of the things that you had asked me to, make sure that we get to talk about was the Nelson Jams, as well as, just timeless BMX in general. And before we get into it, I just want to say Andrew Lazarick, a.k.a. Andrew Laserdisc, is absolutely killing it when it comes to timeless BMX. And I really think that what he's doing is really helping the Canadian BMX scene, and it's bringing such a fresh take on things. There's other distributors, yes. However, I think Timeless and what he's doing is really pushing the scene in, Western Canada, which is awesome.
Yeah, Andrew's really applying himself, and I believe in that guy right from the start because he comes at it very true of heart and for the right reasons, right? And so it's very special that we get to have, many different jams through 3 different provinces, and we get to get all the community together for a cool day. Like coming up on May 24th, we're going out to Saskatchewan for a jam, and then the month after that we have Mills Jam in Calgary. After that we have the Penticton Jam in July, and then August we end it with the Nelson Jam. And so Nelson Jam is pretty much the coolest just because it's a big family reunion between all the BMX heads out here.
Dude, that's awesome. And in previous years at the Nelson Jams, like, what have you guys gotten up to? What are some crazy things that we should go and look back on, basically?
On Nelson Jam, it's been pretty sweet the past 3 years because Nelson has that kind of newish outdoor park as well. And so beyond just the jam at the indoor at the youth group YMCA there in Nelson, the party goes on to the outdoor park and it goes to the bar, and it's a big celebration of BMX, man. So when everyone gets together, it's just a big celebration, man. There's so much love around the table. It's pretty sweet, man. It's like the most amount of hugs you'll ever see in a weekend, dude. Everyone is there smiling. No one has a bad time.
Fuck yeah, man. I love that. I always felt like the jams that I would do here in town were like such a great time, Everybody would be super pumped on riding, and most of the local guys would just like sit around and drink all day and watch all the out-of-towners come and rip, And they were street jams, but like people would be super into it. And yeah, I definitely got to take a trip out your way and check out, the Nelson Jams and some more stuff that Andrew is doing with Timeless,
Yeah, come do some bash guard shit with Enns, man. He'll be there again this year coming up, and hopefully we'll even get Rooftop out here pretty soon, man. All those guys love each other, so it'll have to be at Nelson Jam eventually. We'll have to like convince Rooftop to take like a Bronco trip out to Nelson, BC, and incorporate it with our BMX Jam. It'll be hilarious.
Fuck yeah, man. That'd be sick. When we're talking about like Western Canadian BMX, who in your opinion is killing it the most out there?
Killing it the most and steady killing it is I don't know, man. Laser's been just on it consistently, man. He's found a way to like contribute to BMX riding beyond just riding bikes, man. Starting up Timeless is pretty sweet for what he's done there. And he rides that pole the fastest out of anyone, man. He scares the scooter kids and scares the moms too. It's hilarious. But
Fuck yeah.
the whole valley is full of talent, man. Like, remember Brandon Van Dalken and all those colony videos he made? He's at every jam too, man. And BVD, he shows up and he shows out every time, man. And so he's one of the guys I looked up to when I was super young, coming up. Or right, he had all the colony roaster bars and shit. He had those signature bars. I bought fucking pairs of those things, man. That kid was awesome. Nathan Hines too, from Parksville. He was pretty sweet. And yeah, just loads of talent, man. It's pretty sweet, man, because Nelson's right in the middle between Vancouver and Calgary and kind of Alberta, right? And so it's like a perfect meeting place for Western Canada to all get together.
Hell yeah, man. That's sick. I love it. It's always good to see, you know, the community kind of getting together and kind of backing something like that.
Yeah, that's what it's about, man. It's just getting together and celebrating the sport we love so much, right?
Absolutely. And on kind of a somber note, it sounds like Beeline might not be around very much longer. But, you know, while you guys still have it, is there any plans to, you know, potentially throw a jam or something like that and really appreciate that park?
Yeah, so we got to take it month by month now because Beeline was given the gift of having lower rent for the past year to make up for the lost business from COVID years, right? And so it's been steady at like $37,000 per month overhead costs before the operating costs of Beeline. And so after March now, that's when it's the landlord says it's gonna be moved to 50, and then with the commercial space at Calgary, man, is ridiculous, man. Like the commercial space at Calgary right now is like 30% unoccupied buildings here. It's just because all the landlords are so used to having, I don't know, oil booms, high dollars of barrels of oil, and everyone could afford that shit. But right now, oil goes for $74 per barrel compared to, you know, $140 per barrel, right? And so kind of unfair. And so Beeline is struggling that way, and it's the problem comes down to is like Beeline is a for-profit business, right? And so you can't really like reach out for help from like a GoFundMe or donations from the community because it's a for-profit business and it's not a non-for-profit business, right? And so even if we were to take donations, man, for like the next 2 months, it's going to be asking the biking community for like $100,000 of money from people's pockets just for Beeline to operate for another couple months, man, which is kind of unfair. And you know, Ryan doesn't want to. He doesn't want to turn into a non-for-profit business. He's a business owner. He doesn't want to let his business fall and then him just be an employee at a non-for-profit, man, with everyone else involved, man. He owns this shit, man, and sometimes it's better not to fade away, but to burn out, man.
Yeah, as unfortunate as it is, I can definitely see, you know, his point there. And it is a bummer, right? Like I mentioned earlier that I feel like Beeline has done a really good job at like showing that they're a big part of the Canadian BMX scene, right? They're basically Alberta's version of Joyride, right? Like Joyride in Ontario is absolutely huge. And when you look at indoor skate parks in Ontario that allow bikes or are bike specific, we only have one of them that's bike specific. We have 3 of them that bikes are allowed, and then there's a few more that are basically skate and scooter only. And it really sucks, you know. We lost Inflow a few years ago, which was the oldest indoor skate park in Canada, and man, it's been a bummer ever since, you know. Like Gabe and Will and their family, I'm sure, are definitely feeling it. And that was a similar case. They basically made it all the way through COVID and struggled through the way and basically proved that they would be okay and then the landlord decided that he wanted to sell, and the new landlords wanted them out. So unfortunately, that's just how it goes, right? It came at such a crappy time too, because they put everything they had into surviving, and then now they're basically fucked, right? I'm sure they're doing fine, but yeah, it's just such a crappy feeling,
Yeah, that's kind of what we're situated into, right? The higher powers that be are making the rules, and we're just trying to live out the good times while we can. But in the broad perspective, we've had many parks come up and close over the years, like Boneyard, Ride and Play, Thorsby, Three Hills, Thorsby 2 even, and many, many parks, right? And so even if one closes, man, another one will open up. It's like, it's all good in the broad spectrum. No one's fault, man. We just gotta embrace the moment while we can.
Absolutely. I will say that it is a little interesting that there are so many parks recently that are closing their doors, right? Obviously, we heard this week that the Wheel Mill will be closed at the end of March, I believe, which is, dude, so unfortunate. Like, the Wheel Mill is just one of those parks where I think everybody has seen footage of the rhythm section and just those jumps. Like, it's literally indoor wooden trails. Like, it's super sick, and it really, really sucks that place is not going to be around anymore. And then there's rumors that the yard in Ottawa is going under, and that the yard probably won't last till the end of the year. And that's so unfortunate. I did look into their pricing structure, and it looks a little odd how they have theirs set up. I think most places are pretty specific. It's just a dollar amount for a day, whereas the yard does like sessions, which is kind of a little odd. I might be incorrect with that too, but yeah. And then obviously, I think there's a couple other parks around you guys that are basically on the brinks of closing their doors as well. House of Wheels. Obviously, the Air Rec Center in BC closed last year, but yeah, it's just there's a lot of them.
Yeah, which is wild because like even Air Rec Center, that was the epicenter of mountain biking in the entire world, and even that place couldn't stay open because it was in Maple Ridge. And then, uh, kind of like Air Rec's problem right at the start was like they had to build the building on that property and go through all the fermentation and stuff, and it took like 7 years to even get the building built before they could even start operating the business, which is pretty wild. And that place has definitely left a legacy on Vancouver and the North Shore bike scene for everyone out there. And so, House of Wheels, they just made that GoFundMe where they raised $50,000 in like a month, and they saved House of Wheels, which is really great. And so the reason they could do that is because they're in partnership with Alberta Action Sports, which is a non-for-profit business that hosts BMX jams and scooter jams and skate jams, stuff like that. And so they are a non-profit, so they can take in all these donations from the GoFundMe, and then they can relieve their rents of debt, right? But Beeline is a for-profit business, and so the only way that we can preserve Beeline longer is by just getting more business in the door, by getting people to come ride, buy shit, pro shop, and support the park, because without you being at Beeline, Beeline won't be here for you.
Yeah, it's man, that's such a good point there. I think a lot of these parks kind of get taken for granted in a way. When I worked at an indoor park years ago, I started in the middle of the summer, and we were fortunate enough that year, a lot of parents would be bringing their kids to the park, drop them off, and then go to the beach 20 minutes away. And it wasn't really a big deal, but it sounds like, that park might not be around much longer either, which kind of blows me away. But they're a for-profit business, and I think that the owner there, from what I've heard at least, or what I've seen online, it sounds like time's ticking in that way, which is really, really unfortunate, especially for myself, just because I have so many great memories of that place, and yeah, I wish them all the best.
Yeah, a place like that is like the glue that holds the action sports community together, man. Whether if you're on BMX race bike, on your dirt jumper, on your XC bike, everyone is there pushing their own limits and growing and on their bike, right? Which is pretty sweet. And it's going to be a huge loss for the kids there, just because Beeline is such a rich learning environment for the kids, where they're supported in the right direction, and with so many coaches there pushing them in the right direction, when kids believe in themselves, they accomplish amazing things, and it clearly showed.
Absolutely, man. And I think BMX, scootering, and even skateboarding are such a great thing for like youth to be involved in, because it does give you that kind of persistence and willingness to fall and get back up and try again. And I don't know how many other things are out there that kind of give the same, right? Like sometimes I definitely feel like action sports people are a little extra when it comes to that. They really like pride themselves on it. And there definitely is other things that are like that. But I don't know. I think that the feeling that you get when you land a trick after waiting so long is like nothing else. And I hope that, other kids would be able to do that at Beeline or any of these parks, right?
Yeah, it definitely builds resilience to your character, man, and being able to try and fail and try again and keep failing is the cheat code to life, man. You just got to be willing to take the fall for you to progress in whatever way you want. And really, ball and stick sports ain't for everyone. Team sports ain't for everyone. And so for the kid to make his own development of the character growing up, man, it means the world to the kids. And Beeline fucking bike park ain't about me, man. It's about those kids there. And so that's why we're trying to preserve it so then they can have the experience that all of us have gotten from BMX, right? And so we got to make sure we support the park so the park can be there for the kids. It's not about us, it's about the fucking kids, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree with you more. Um, well, we have the chance. Let's talk about maybe some of the goals that you have at Beeline. Is there any like tricks or anything that you've looked at that now that time is ticking, you're thinking, oh, well, I better get on this?
Pretty much, I better use that foam pit while I still got it, right? And so in 2021, when Drew Bezanson came to the park and hung out for a couple months there, and he made that unseen angles edit, it was pretty sweet because he set a huge bar between all the transfers at that park, and he's really shattered the ceiling at Beeline Bike Park with everything he's done there, from all the transfers and his ender doing the peacock backflip right at the end. That was pretty special to see. And so some of the goals I have at Beeline Bike Park before that place goes away is pretty much just be 10% better at everything I do already, man. Just keep growing 10% better in each side, man. Whether it's doing more downside tooth hangers or if it's doing more double backflips, man. It's the same feeling landing a double backflip or landing a downside tooth hangover on a quarter pipe, man. That rush is best rush you can ever get, and you can only get it from doing that one thing.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love it. That's awesome, man. And I'm definitely excited to see like, some of the stuff that you're able to pull off there. Some of the things already is insane. Like just scrolling through your Instagram over the last few days and doing my research for this, I was just blown away by like how many incredible clips there are of you at Beeline. And I feel like when, Carson Donovan shows up to the park, the session fucking goes, dude. It starts. Like it seems pretty wild.
Yeah, Beeline Bike Park is pretty awesome, man. When I get there, it's super fun. Everyone gets some extra horsepower, and you feel the energy in the air, right? And so the goal when I go to Beeline Bike Park is to hand out as many high fives as I can all the time, man. Because just a simple high five between a kid at the park, man, it makes their day stoked. Everyone feels more amped up on riding, and it's sweet because everyone just pushes themselves, and it's cool, man. Seeing just people beat their own personal limits every day is wild, man. Like even the other day, we were just playing on a little sub ledge there, and we were getting washed out and crashed like crazy all day. But it was fun making a challenge and trying to beat a trick every time. Is the battle is the best part, right? It's not fun if you land all your tricks first try. It's fun when you have to work for it and then eventually get it.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love it. Man, that's sick. A couple clips that come to mind at Beeline from you. Man, that inverter that you did is just insane. Like that is by far one of my favorite clips in BMX ever, just because like it makes zero sense. It's another one of those things where like in the intro I mentioned that your style and just your like willingness to do tricks that no one really thinks of and your uniqueness really show like with something like that.
Yeah, so for example, like that cliffhanger backflip, man, the reason I love all that stuff is because I used to ride or race motocross growing up, and so I was like a 50 kid doing the CMRC series, and so I've pretty much just been brainwashed of watching Travis Pastrana's Drillbillies my entire life, and then moved to Jackass movies, and then into props, road pools tours, right? And so it's pretty sweet doing those stuntman type moves, doing Cordova backflips or heel clicker flips and stuff like that. Just because the internet is pretty saturated with flip, spin, whip, and bar, and so it it feels a lot funner when you get to put your own personal flair and make your make your younger self proud of yourself. You know, because it's all about making your younger self proud and your older self proud. And I don't know, doing some Superman backflips definitely makes my younger self proud when I was watching Throwbillies growing up.
Dude, absolutely. I love it, man. The attitude that you bring is so sick. And it is definitely one of those things where I find that in today's park riding, there is a lot of repeated stuff. And one of my biggest criticisms when it comes to like competition park riding is that people will go and they have 2 to 3 different runs that they're going to be scored on. And instead of taking the chance and doing something different, they will sit there for the whole weekend in practice and do the exact same run over and over and over again. And then they'll do that during the like competition as well. So, and I understand why, and I get it, but a part of me really wants to, if I was a judge in that case and I was able to, if it was part of the rule set, I would absolutely be like chopping people's scores down because they're repeating the same line over and over again. Like, I think part of BMX is showing that you are versatile and that you will go and try new things and not just do the same run, right? I felt like with some of the stuff that we've seen with X Games or any other like big park contests in the last few years, you're definitely seeing people go and do the exact same line for their 3 runs that they get and not changing a single trick.
Yeah, good point there, Cam. 100% agree with you on that. And I think that the originality to the rider is definitely important, man. And so it's kind of like gymnastics nowadays, man. It's not a gladiator sport like it was when Miron and Hoffman was riding. It's about eliminating the variables on the same 6 obstacles, whether it's a spine, a quarter, a box, a spox, 8-foot quarter, a vert wall. So you got 6 obstacles, and then you have to do the tricks to rank your riding, right? And so it's all gymnastics nowadays, right? It's a 1 minute performance, and there's no burliness of the gladiator sport of which it came from, man. Which is really sweet, man. It is cool, but some people believe it's not as cool because it's not what it used to be, and everyone loves what it used to be because that's what they loved when they were growing up. And but I don't know, man. BMX is like the coolest shit right now. Like street riding at its all-time highest level, park riding at its all-time highest level. But it does get pretty washed out when you see the same flip, spin, whip, and bar. That's like 4 tricks, but many of them, right? So it's like quantity of tricks or variety of tricks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that having that variety and that willingness to be different really shows through with your riding in particular. Like um, even just your Instagram is like anytime that one of your clips shows up, I always have to watch it twice with the volume on because you have such great music choice as well. And yeah, I love it, man. Like again, your style of just you know kind of throwing stuff that people don't really see is awesome. It's insane. I love it. One clip in particular that I
Super.
will,
Thanks for the prop.
yeah, one clip in particular that comes to mind right away is the flip cliffhanger that you did in just the mountains of Western Canada. Just nuts, dude. These huge dirt jumps, and yeah, you have like full extension over it. It's wild.
Yeah, I really love that clip too because that clip took place in Whistler, and it's this place called Nestor Mulch Jump, and you can find Nestor Road in Whistler, and you can just take this little logging road up, and you can find that jump. Anyone can find it, and so that clip took place when Cranksworth was going on in Whistler, and so I knew that everyone was watching Crankworks. Everyone knows this jump right now, and so I've been keeping that trick in my back pocket for a little while, and I just subliminally love that trick just because I was brainwashed by the show called Gratitude, which was like Drew Bezanson, Anthony Napolitan, and Hucker, and Chris Fox, and all their friends involved. And Hucker would always do those cliffhanger backflips in like the Red Bull Signature Series and stuff, man. And I ride an S&M Hucker frame now. The GO on that frame was perfect. Middle of the road, 75 head tube, 13.3 back end, just how it should be, man. It's responsive enough and stable enough. And yeah, that cliffhanger backflip is just entrenched to me just because watching motocross, freestyle FMX, and Mike Hucker Clark.
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome. I feel like my only complaint about the Hucker frame is it doesn't have a bash guard, but that's just me. That's
Yeah,
great.
those Hucker frames, man. Yeah, they just came out with a new colorway of like beach tan too, and so they always come out with like fresh colors from raw, black, and blue, and different colors, man. So it's sweet. S&M Bikes always just puts out fresh new colorways on their products, man. And it those frames have just been refined so particularly where like all their bikes are super super good.
Absolutely, man. And while we're on the topic of stuff I've seen from your Instagram, you got to ride the Desert Skate Ranch in California. And dude, that's fucking sick. That place blows my mind. I remember seeing that for the first time while doing research for my Mike Escamilla interview when I started the show a few years ago. And that place has just always blown my mind. I love whenever I get to see footage of that place. And it's just such a cool premise.
Yeah, that place rules. It's like on the road between LA and Las Vegas in the Nevada Desert or whatever, the Mojave Desert, and you just pull off to the side of the road, send the guy a DM so his neighbors don't shoot you, and then you definitely donate some money so you can buy some more concrete and you can go right there. And that place was definitely the highlight of that entire California trip. Beyond riding the Triple Challenge and Pat Casey's backyard and Ocean Beach and Claremont Skate Park, the Desert Skate Ranch was pretty much the funnest experience we've had out there in California. And so definitely give thanks to Laserich for referring us to Desert Skate Ranch, man, to let us come ride. And it's a pretty special place, man. That pool in there is just an original pool from the 60s. And then they just started pouring concrete around that pool. And they have like a little boat, mermaid, little props around there. And it's a very special time, man. Uh, we got to vlog the shit out of that day on Darcy's channel too. So if you want to watch us fall and eat shit in that pool, it's all on Darcy's YouTube channel. You can definitely check it out. And the special feature there, which is really cool, is they have like a super tight capsule, which is practically like 8 feet tall. And when you stand on your bike, you're about 6 feet tall. So you got to compress super tight to rip around this little capsule and not G out or loop out, which is super, super fun. It's built way better than Marginal Way in Seattle. And then they also have that little doorway underneath there, too. It's a very special place, man. You should definitely check it out if you ever have a chance.
Absolutely, man. It's definitely a goal of mine to make it down there. That pool looks awesome. It seems like a really cool thing to ride. I've only ridden one pool before, and it's awesome. It's definitely not what you think when you get to ride one. It's very tight, and the one that I got to ride in particular, like, you absolutely had to basically go into a manual before you hit the transition because it was just so steep and so tight. But again, like, such a good feeling, you know? But with the Desert Skate Ranch, that capsule that you're talking about, I've definitely seen footage of that, and it's insane. Like, I can't remember who went around it, but there's like one BMX dude that I'm thinking of that has gone around it, and it's tight. It's like built for skaters, and yeah, it just makes zero sense that a BMX dude could get around that thing.
Yeah, capsules are like the coolest feeling in the world for sure. And then that pool there, it's pretty nice in the deep end, man. It's pretty forgiving for a pool spectrum, but man, doing a 1 foot air out of a pool is way cooler than doing a double backflip on a box jump in a controlled environment, man. It's like, yeah, it takes way more bike control, where a double flip just takes enough extended ability to hold prey and hang on and hopefully land rubber side down, man. So that's why I really like Laser X riding. And whenever he goes out on expeditions out pool seeking, man, that's pretty sweet to watch.
Fuck yeah, man. When I think of like dream backyard setups, like obviously Desert Skate Ranch comes into mind. My buddy Jordan, riding Rampco, he built the yard. He built parts of Pat Casey's yard. He built Mike Varga's. But then somebody else that comes to mind is Dean Dickinson, the pool dad. He is absolutely wild, and he just built a pool in his backyard for himself to ride. And dude, what an awesome backyard space, you know?
Yeah, no doubt, man. Backyard space is one of a kind, man.
Absolutely. And while we're on the topic, you got to ride Pat Casey's place. What was that like? That ramp just looks super gnarly.
Yeah, the ramp is built really, really well. It's all skate lighted, super smooth. We only rode it for a couple hours during that day, just because it was right after. It was like the Monday after the weekend of Triple Challenge, and the sun was going down. Because on that day, we ended up going through SM Bike's warehouse, checking out their machine shop, their factory, walking down the Wellnar, hanging out with James Murphy. He took us for a full tour of the SM shop, which was super sweet. Then we got to Pat Casey's house a little late in the session, and then dropping in at Casey's house for the first time was pretty sweet, man. Everything is how it should be, man. Beyond like just having like a 7 foot spine with no coping. If you want to do 180s over it, the wall, everything flows how it should, and the coping sticks out like a nice, like a nice pop can width, where it's like you can roast the shit out of it, hit that pop can coping, and it fucking puts you right where you need to be. It's sweet. And then that's when they just added the new loop around the back with that big step up in the back, and so everyone was having a lot of fun riding that step up. And what a scenic backyard setup in Riverside, California.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, it's such a like iconic backyard ramp, and it was kind of the perfect spot to host X Games that year, just because realistically, what else do you need, right? Like, it already is basically an X Games course.
Yeah, it's like an X Games course, but for BMX and better. It's like what it'd be compared to like a recycled skateboarding park course given to BMX riders. That was like a real BMX park, man, which is like awesome compared to having bowl corners that are filled in. That place is kind of like a 2005 X Games where it's like all the corners you'd have to pocket air compared to just roasting around. It's way cooler.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dude, so insane. It's super unfortunate that we lost Pat, you know. I definitely think that the whole BMX scene feels that impact, you know, and it's I don't think BMX will be the same, you know? Like he really had left his mark on BMX and really shown like what BMX is all about with his time on a bike.
Yeah, rest in peace back to Casey, and he was a real gladiator on the bike in the modern day, man. Like he's one of the toughest dudes. Triple challenge that weekend, dude. I saw the gnarliest crashes, and his butt was just spanked, man. But that guy has a lot of heart, and he got up every time. It was pretty unbelievable, man.
Definitely. And as we're recording this, the BMX Triple Challenge is actually just wrapping up. And dude, talk about like such a wild BMX event. And I know I've talked about this in the past, but I've always felt a little conflicted with it because I love the progression that we get out of it. But at the same time, with that like huge progression and these absolutely massive jumps, there is such a huge risk, right? Like, you know, on one side, we are getting BMX riders who are pushing the limits and really like going after the things that they've always dreamt of doing, right? And doing tricks that we never thought possible. But then on the other hand, there's so many people that are going through life-altering accidents. I don't want to say so many people, but you know, there's a few. And I'm kind of curious, you know, you've ridden Triple Challenge. What are your thoughts as somebody who's done it?
The scariest part is just walking up and rolling. But once you get that part over, and you got all the peers behind you that cheering you on, and they convince you on believing in yourself, and you just drop in, put it in autopilot, another makes the jumps perfect, man. You pretty much just sit at the back of the bus and let the bike do all the work and get over it. And it's sweet that they keep making the jumps bigger, so then you can keep pushing the envelope for bigger and bigger tricks, which is just wild, man. Think about it. This weekend in Arlington, Brian Williams opened up his run with a 360 double backflip, like an Aussie roll to start the run. And then he was going to add to it, which is absolutely bananas. He ended up finishing third, but I could only imagine what was in his head to get him the first place spot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I was saying, like the progression's insane. Like just seeing clips like that is wild, and it definitely is like good for BMX to have that progression. Yeah, I definitely feel like going into it, you got to know the risks, right? Like obviously we saw, I believe his name is Carl, lost one of his eyes riding that jam, and it's a freak accident. I don't want to say that that's like gonna happen to, you know, a bunch of people. That's like once in a blue moon. That would never, I bet you that probably never happens again. And it's unfortunate that it did happen, but that is part of the risk on the other side of things, right? And he was going for a trick that he had done before, but on a very different setup. And yeah, again, that is just part of BMX in a way.
Yeah, that's the thing with BMX. You're not willing to take the fall, you're not going to learn the trick. So until you're ready to take the consequences of you busting your ass or hurting your eye, you're not going to do it. But Carl is a real hero. At Swampfest, he did that pallet loop, and he fucking won. He's a winner, man. Carl is sweet, and he has a sweet family at home. And he was riding Triple Challenge again, man. Like, he got injured, got financially screwed, but he grew past it. And he had the whole team behind him, pushing him in the right direction, man. And that shows his heart of who he is as an individual.
Definitely.
I want to see him do something crazy for that Nitro Circus contest called Show Us Your Tricks. there's a Nitro Circus put on this another contest called Show Us Your Tricks. You can win 10 grand if you do a cool, crazy trick. And Carl is probably the guy to do a big, crazy trick.
Fuck yeah, man. I wish him all the best. I hope he gets that 10 G's, you know? That'd be sick. He definitely is one of those guys that's really pushing the envelope for BMX and, making it happen in a way, which is, again, dude, you can't beat that. Yeah, like, do you have a trick that you would want to throw for this Nitro thing in mind at all? Or is this like secret information?
Oh, no, it's all out on the table, man. I'm trying to think of a trick that would that like a 10-year-old at home hasn't seen, already watched it on the internet. So it ain't gonna be a 1080 bar spin on a dirt jump like Brian Fox tried to do. It'll probably be something more crazy, like a stripper backflip, or like I don't know, maybe like a bar hop, something like that, like one of those dead body bar hops. Because like we haven't seen many bar hops since like I don't know, maybe like Matt Hoffman on the vert ramp back then doing bar hops through. But I've been at my home gym here downstairs, and I've been hanging on my monkey bars upside down, and I've been trying to figure out that my shoulder blades extend about another 2 inches when I'm upside down. So maybe I can fit my feet through my handlebars and do a bar hop backflip, because the backflip I'm upside down, and I'll probably get an extra 2 inches of shoulder expansion.
Fuck yeah, that'd be sick, dude. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I don't know, just super fresh. I think that'd be rowdy, because pretty brainwashed from doing shows all summer with those FMX riders. Like this guy, Jordan Glenhill, he's from Manitoba, and he works for Global FMX. And Global FMX goes around and they subcontract us to do like a halftime show during their FMX show. And being even more around FMX riders just makes me want to do it just for my younger self and just do something that will just make me feel like a kid again, That's what we're really chasing here, is just that extreme high of landing a new trick.
Dude, absolutely. Obviously, like I said in my intro, you take a lot of inspiration from freestyle motocross. Did you actually ever ride freestyle motocross at all?
Oh, not at all. We got out of racing motocross right at like the 2008 recession, where like Daddy got a different job. We sold our dirt bikes, but instead he bought us BMX racing bikes. And so we were in Airdrie, Alberta, just north of Calgary, and Airdrie has a wicked track there and BMX racing community. And so how it all went down is we sold our dirt bikes, moved to Airdrie, started racing BMX, and I was never super fast at manualing the rhythm sections, and I just wanted to jump shit. And so I was like always jumping the first double at Airdrie, but I would never manual it. Definitely wasn't the fastest kid on the track, but I jumped every double I could, man. It was super fun. And then sure enough, we had a DIY skate park in small town Airdrie of 60,000 people, where it was like kind of rotten lumber and just like little modular city ramps, right? And so my dad was still right behind us, wanting us to live his childhood dream through us riding bikes. And so he built us a backyard ramp right when I was about 10. We had that house for a couple years as well. So like when I was like 10 to 12, I had like a 6-foot half pipe in my backyard, because Airdrie didn't have a skate park at the time. So we were racing BMX. We built our own half pipe, started doing freestyle tricks, playing on trampoline bikes in our backyard. And then from there in 2010, Airdrie invested like $1 million. They built this huge skate park called Schnucks Wind Skate Park. It's sweet. They have a wicked snake run, and all my OG clips come from Airdrie Skate Park. And then, sure enough, the United BMX team, they sent up their team with like Nathan Williams and Corey Martinez coming through, and they did this Great West North tour. And so they rode parks all the way from Edmonton down to Calgary to Lethbridge and everything in between. And sure enough, the United team came to my skate park. Corey Martinez was doing no-foot can-cans like crazy, and that shit really resonated with me. And now no-foot can-cans are like my favorite trick. And we haven't been on a racetrack since then. Because once that skate park opened, we weren't going back to the racetrack, man. Freestyle is no rules, no schedule, and it's all your own creative player. It was sweet, man. So that's how we got here.
Absolutely. That's sick, dude. I've definitely felt that BMX racing is like, it's a whole different side of BMX, right? It's the weird, like, younger brother or older brother, really. And I definitely find that, like, some people are, like, really pulled towards that, right? I feel like BMX racing is kind of like hockey, you know, where like it is so different and there's like a whole different aspect. Families are more into it, where it's like, how many families do you know that are into freestyle BMX, right? Like it is definitely, it has that same vibe as like a hockey family.
Yeah, it's kind of for everyone, and then everyone can get started there for sure and get riding. And BMX racing is sweet because it teaches the kids so much bike control right off the hop. And then once they go to the skate park, we just brainwash them, and then they become the sickest BMX riders in the world, like Corey Walsh, you know?
Dude,
Old pro
absolutely.
racer, brainwashed into freestyle, and now he's just the best bull rider in the world, man. He's on it.
Yeah, I mean, when you ride, you know, BMX racing, like you just learn how to jump from one thing to another. And then when you come to freestyle, it's almost just like intuitive to do that, right? You're just thinking, oh, well, why don't I just jump from here to there? Like, and I definitely find that as I like progress in my, you know, BMX life and just like how I've ridden over the years, I've started to kind of like not focus so much on tricks and focus more on like the spot, you know, and like riding something uh to like its full potential, or wanting to do like something simplistic on something super sick, right? Like I posted a clip of me riding this full pipe a couple weeks ago, and that clip is just like one of my favorite clips ever because of the way that it shows the spot, right? And I find that that type of riding is I don't know. That's what I've definitely grew to love over the years, and that's kind of where I'm taking my riding these days.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I see that reflection in your ride, dude. You're the artist, and you choose to put your trick on the spot, right? It's all about spot usage, and it's cool that you can ride anything, whether it's a bridge barrier, curb, a wall ride, or you can find a crazy full pipe in your industrial park in your city, right?
Yeah,
So it's
definitely,
cool
dude.
that you just gotta teach all the kids at Beeline all the basic tricks and elementary tricks, and then as they grow older, they can be the artist with their paintbrush, and they can choose what tricks they're gonna put on that spot.
Absolutely, man. What do you got going on the TV tonight?
I got 1987 GT BMX 101 tricks, part A.
Fuck yeah, I love it.
They have like 201 tricks as well.
Right.
And then 101 tricks is pretty much all just like background flatland moves and stuff. But then 201 trick is like more ramp riding and shit like that. But it's cool watching little retro videos just because everything's already been done before. But you study these films, and then you can choose one of these fancy tricks to wow the audience. Whether it's like, I don't know, people wouldn't understand it unless they know the difference between a Harry Larry and a switch air turndown.
Why don't you explain the difference for us? Because I don't think I've ever heard of a Harry Larry. I'm not very well versed when it comes to like old school BMX. You know, it's something that I definitely need to go out and actually learn a little bit about.
Okay, sweet. Well, I got this information from this old BMX rider in the Okanagan named Bill, and Bill was from the UK, and he was telling me about how people who do look back airs nowadays ain't really a look back air. It's practically just a switch air turn down. And so, how it used to be done on the old vert ramps back in the day is instead of doing a turn down towards your back foot and clicking it, you do a regular air and you go towards your front foot, which feels way more crazy and way more challenging. And then that was a old rider, something Harry Larry, and so it resonated as old Harry Larry. And so if you ever want to put yourself up for a personal challenge, try and do switch turn down regular air compared to a switch air regular turn down. That'll throw you for a loop.
Dude, that's wild. I remember years ago trying to learn look back airs, but I was not any good at switch airs at the time. So I was trying to basically just do it that way. And it is very difficult and it just does not make sense at all. Eventually, I just grew a pair and started learning how to do switch airs. And now I can, do a look back pretty consistently on pretty much any quarter pipe, but I should definitely go back and learn the Harry Larry.
Yeah, I really like watching these old school videos between like flatland riding and dirt riding because, the best flatland riders make the best mini ramp riders. There's even these, little skirfers and technical mini ramp tricks or technical flatland tricks on mini ramp. That's sick. Like, remember Dave Osato's ender in his 2004 10 pack video where he does a tail whip tap and then decade drop in?
I do. That clip is wild. Yeah, I'll throw it in here for the video watchers. But yeah, dude, insane. He's Dave has really left his mark on Canadian BMX, and I don't know if you've ever ridden the park where he did the Canadian nose pick on the fence out of the bowl. But dude, I've always wanted to see video footage of that. I don't want to be the guy to say that he didn't pull it, but I don't think I've ever seen video footage of it.
Yeah, it's got to be on VHS somewhere out there.
Somebody must have done a video of that. Like, it sucks that we didn't have cell phones back then because everybody would have had a video of that, right? That's the kind of the nice thing about it. But also now you don't have that special feeling of seeing it in a magazine, right? Or if you do, you see it in a magazine for that year instead of the past 2 months. But
yeah, which is wild. That's at Northgate Skate Park in Vancouver, and it's right behind this sneaky building. And that bowl is super sweet. And then there's magazines from the past that's coming back to the future now, called like Chase BMX magazine. And I got a couple issues of that, and yeah, they just print them out on like newspapers compared to like nice print. But it's sweet to see someone still trying to apply the print into the modern era nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few people out there doing it, and I love it, man. It's great to see print, like it's something that I've considered doing now with I'm a screen printer by trade, so I print like t-shirts and stuff, but you can print on paper as well. And I've really thought about doing like printed posters of like different BMX moments, right? And there's a couple photos that come to mind right away that I would love to print out huge and do it screen printed just because I think it looks better. But
yeah, me too. I think blowing shit up would be way cooler because I got this mirrorless full frame camera that costs like $10,000, and the photos I take go on a little 2-inch by 3-inch iPhone screen for your pleasure compared to like a nice print. I mean, I print off my own photos and I put them on my own wall because I love them. But oh man, I really wish people would appreciate more printed photos nowadays because a photo adds way more mystery to the trick, right? It makes the viewer think about like how the hell did that guy get up there to do that huge nose pick on the Northgate skate park fence? Where it's like a picture has 1,000 words, but videos have like 10,000 words, right? But I think it's cooler to make your audience think about it and it'll resonate with them more compared to just giving the video out. All the information is displayed.
Yeah,
cooler.
I definitely see your point there. And honestly, I mean, if we filmed everything, we would have the clip of the infamous hand plant can on the dinosaur that Ben Huck did that we've never seen the footage for. It's been like so elusive, right? People have been wanting to see the footage to this because it's one of those tricks that doesn't make sense. Like, did this actually happen? Did this work? But I think that photo alone has its place in BMX, and you can't beat that. You know, whether he pulled it or not, it's a fucking awesome, unbelievable photo.
Yeah, it makes people think, and that's the cool part, right? And I want to believe that he did do it, right? And so, buy that T-shirt from BMX store at bigcartel.com. Link down below.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. It's that is just one of those moments in BMX, right? There's like a few of those, and man, one of the other moments in BMX that I think is sweet that we actually did get video of. I'm not 100% sure. I should know this. But are there any good photos of Van Homan doing the tail whip over the Kona gap? Because that's one of those things that like we got video of and it looked awesome, but I can't remember if there was any good photos of that. It's honestly doesn't really translate well to photo, I bet, just because of the sheer size of that gap.
Yeah, photos back then definitely meant way more than they do now. Anyone can just point and shoot a camera now, but back then it took like an actual skilled person to operate a camera. And like I love using the flashes on my camera just because I can give it that old shitty retro look on my new age digital camera. But it just having a little bit of motion blur between the spokes as the bike's coming around, and you know, a dingy yellow indoor skate park but with the flash with motion blur on the object looks so cool. And I think it looks cool. Other people think it looks like shit nowadays, but that shit just like sparks into my subconscious childhood that I really like. So I like to recreate that shit.
Absolutely, man. What camera are you using? I have a Sony A7, one of like the original A7s, the first like mirrorless camera, and that thing's a workhorse, man. That's the one filming me currently. And it still looks great if you have like good lighting and whatnot. And I've taken some of my best BMX photos ever with this camera.
Yeah, dude, that's sweet. Sony cameras are super good, and that's what I use as well. I use like the A7 series as well. This was just like an A7 III. This camera just came from Darcy back when he was done with this, and he upgraded to like a $5,000 64 megapixel camera. He gave me this A7 III, and the shutter on this camera is at like 200,000, which is like way over its max. But like we've been running the life out of this camera. It's sweet, and a sick camera like this that shoots 11 frames per second, mirrorless, full frame, 21 megapixels or whatever. It's pretty sweet. Like you don't even really got to worry about getting more megapixels than 21 megapixels, or else you just roll into the problem of just like rolling shutter when you're trying to video with your camera.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like something like this is pretty good because you can just put a cage on it and then put a bunch of handles with your monitor and your microphone, and you can hold it. It's kind of comfier, and then you don't hurt your back while you're filming. But it's pretty good. It's like, I don't know, man. It's either this or you get like a camcorder. But I like photos so I can film some silky slow-mo 120 frames on this bad boy and also take some high-resolution photos. So that's what I choose to shoot on nowadays. And they're pretty good, man. I don't know, different focal lengths. You can get a really fast lenses nowadays, so like f1.8 lenses for like under $500 for like an 11 millimeter wide angle, which looks like pretty wide for any bowl or skateboard clip you want, or any 50 mil to get some cool depth of field shots. It's sweet, man. It's not that expensive, but it's pretty expensive.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of a price point to get into it, you know? Like, I got a wicked deal on my camera, but mine's also, like, at least 10 years old at this point, if not older. I remember my buddy Chris, he shot probably my, like, most infamous moment in BMX, which is just this huge rail hop photo. and he shot it on an A7, like an original A7, which is what I use. And that was at least 10 years ago. So just insane, man, you know? But these things work so well. And even the new Sony mirrorless cameras, dude, I see a lot of dudes using them as like their full-time like video camera setups. And I definitely agree that like the adjustability and all the things that you can do, they just make them so versatile with like a cage, and then you can get monitors for them. You can build up like full V-mount battery setups and be set for days with these cameras, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is cool, super versatile, and just like the small rig parts of extra handles makes filming way comfier, and then you can get that perfect framed in close shot. So it's way funner that way, and so it's I don't know. Usually, I once I start dwelling on a image in my head of what I want to shoot as a photo, that's what really inspires me to actually go out and do it. Like that Superman backflip at Swampfest, I don't have a video of that, but I was certain to get a super flip photo over the boat at Swampfest, and that's what I was set on, and that's what I got, man. I didn't really care to film it.
Dude, fair enough. That photo is awesome too. I think it's like such a great representation of your riding and everything you're capable of, because nobody's doing that trick. You know, there's a very slim amount of people that can do that, and you're one of them, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's super fun. And then in Calgary, my friends at the camera store, they've been helping me out, learning all the how to use flash better, and they set me on different photo challenges and stuff. And so friends at the camera store in Calgary, they've been there for like 30 years, and so they've even given me the opportunity to run camera clinic at Beeline Bike Park, where we make photo labs for the students. The participants get to come in, take photos of some BMX riders, and then we get to go over certain points that will make the rider look good, right? Because when you're trying to, like, my formula for when I'm trying to make a really sick photo is you got to have the scale of the object showing the full jump and trick. You got to have the rider's face. It's got to be three-dimensional, like off to the side, right? So you can see the front and side of the ramp. You got to have some foreground, the object. You got to have some background. And then pretty much just framing it is like the most important part, right? Because it drives me nuts when I see photographers. Like, I try to do some cool tricks for photographers, and it's all zoomed in super tight, and like you can't see it all. It's like I'm just floating in the air upside down, and there's no context to the photo whatsoever. So it's been super fun. They let me put on a clinic at Beeline Bike Park, and I got to teach like 10 participants about action sports photography in Beeline Bike Park, which was super cool. And I had lots of fun doing it because I got to learn more about my camera gear as I went on.
Hell yeah, dude. I love that. That's just another one of those things that, you know, is so important that Beeline was able to kind of host with you guys, right? Like, that's one of those things, right? The youth is out, they're learning about BMX, but they're also learning about how to shoot action sports. And I think most people that are into photography would say that action sports are some of the hardest things to shoot because it's all about like framing and how to take a good shot in action sports. I think most people outside of BMX, skateboarding, or anything else don't look at tricks the same as we do, right? Like, we know what makes a good shot. I have a 1 foot table photo that I shot of Mike Smiley Wilkinson that looks so good. It's like one of my favorite BMX photos that I've ever taken. But I bet you that if you showed that to a photography professional, they would say, what the hell is going on here, right? The framing is off. This doesn't make any sense. But any BMX dude that looks at it is going to think like, wow, like you can really see the like click of the 1 foot table. You can see the ramp and what he's doing it on, as well as like how much air he's gotten out of it. And you can see even just the smallest details of like, you know, his pinky is out as he's doing it. And then also his tongue is like out of his mouth, which is just such a funny thing that BMX dudes do. Right. But yeah, like I was saying, I think you guys doing an action sports, like, photo lab is awesome. I absolutely love to see shit like that.
Yeah, it was super cool, man, because Beeline Bike Park has allowed me to like coach some of the kids at Beeline last year for our junior elite club, where we got to like trick kids into learning backflips, and then they just do it and it's sweet. And then this year, I wanted to try and keep evolving and then do that photo lab stuff. So we have more coming up this summer where it'll be like outside compared to like a dungy yellow looking bike park. It'll be outside at Millennium Skate Park, the largest skate park in Canada with a huge full pipe, and it'll be way cooler with blue skies. So we're growing in the right direction, and we're building our relationship with Sony and the camera store, and they've been helping me out with more camera gear for me to keep progressing and learning.
Absolutely. That's sick, dude. Has anybody ever looped that full loop there? I don't think it's possible, but also I have seen some footage of dudes doing it at huge like loops.
Yeah, that baby's like a 30-foot diameter loop, right? And so
Jesus.
even when its grand opening back in 2000, Tony Hawk came and he was riding the shit out of that thing. And Millennium Skate Park is just, it's a wicked skate park back in 2000. Now in 2024, it's pretty lumpy and bumpy, and the concrete is pretty deformed, and the transitions don't feel very good as much anymore ever. But it's a really great skate park still, and that's where we host the Mills Jam coming up this summer on June 21st on a Friday.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's sick. Yeah, that seems like my kind of park, man. I love to ride like weird old skate parks and anything that has like kind of a weird feeling to it. Like everybody knows my local park is I would say probably one of the oldest skate parks in Canada. It's definitely up there for Ontario. And it has just the weirdest features, and the way that it's like spread out is really interesting. But I think that being able to ride that kind of stuff opens up a lot of opportunity for you as a BMX rider,
Yeah, I think what really makes a good BMX rider is being able to ride the most shit ditches and Jersey barriers around, and that's why like Jason Enns is one of the best to ever do it.
Dude, top tier. He is definitely one of the best.
Yeah, dude. Anyone can ride perfect ramps and shit like that and do tons of tricks, but if you can fucking air a Jersey barrier over a foot, that's pretty crazy. That's a real athlete in BMX.
Dude, one of my favorite things about Jason Enns is any of his clips that were on his old ramp setup. He had like this, I want to say like a steel garage or something, and he had like a little 4-foot mini ramp painted blue, and then he had all these like cool extension features that he could just like basically put into his ramp and just have that set up. So he had one that made it into like a 7-foot with super steep like transitions, and then he also had this really cool sub rail kind of setup with it, and also the pool ladder over it. And also this dude just like takes all of his old BMX bikes that he has as like a collection and just rips them even now, where like he'll be at the skate park with his like actual bike, and then also one of his like old 80s or 90s BMX bikes. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, I think he has that ramp in his backyard, man. The one side is like a 4-foot vert ramp, and then the other side is like a chill, mellow vert ramp. And the small sub ledges and obstacles that he puts in there seems very refreshing, man. Like that's a ramp I want to retire on for sure. Having something like that in my backyard, that'd be super fun.
Definitely, dude. That seems rad. Now, while we're on the topic of like, just the Canadian BMX scene, I feel like that's been our topic the whole time, which is sick. Definitely love it. What do you think the Canadian BMX scene does really well? And is there anything that you think that we could improve on?
Yeah, well, what I think the Canadian BMX scene does really well is everyone is here cultivating the sport and mentoring kids and to riding bikes, right? Like I haven't met an asshole BMX rider at a skate park in a very long time. Everyone's pretty inviting. Canada has like no skate hate. You can ride any park and drop in with pegs on your in the bowl, right? And as long as everyone's having fun, it's all cool. And then I don't know, for something that the Canadian BMX scene could improve on is I don't know, it's pretty dialed right now, man. Like right now is pretty good. I don't know what I could really nag on.
Dude, so true. I love it. Yeah, I feel like this scene is like alive and well here. I know that some people feel like BMX as a whole has been like kind of in this little downward trend for a little bit, but I disagree, man. I think BMX and especially BMX in Canada is just like it's getting better and better, you know?
Yeah, it's easy to be a hater saying that BMX industry ain't growing and flourishing like what it once was, and everyone's all stocked up with all the merchandise from the COVID years that they put in orders on. And now we have tons of stock and no one's buying the shit. But really, man, it's like it's just a matter of time. Things go up, and we have the Olympics coming up in 24 here, so it's gonna bring more people watching BMX, and everything's gonna grow. And on October 19th, we have another Canadian National happening in Montreal, in Romont, Montreal, where it's at their cycling center. And so they just finished building a brand new $400,000 BMX park just to host the Nationals and be the training facility for Cycling Canada and BMX Riders of Canada.
Dude, that's awesome. I'm very excited to see that. I can't believe I had no idea about that. I honestly kind of forgot that the Olympics were this year. And what are your thoughts on BMX in the Olympics? Obviously, you know, your style as a park rider, I feel like you kind of have more respect for that. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like street and park are so divided, right? When it shouldn't be, like I mentioned earlier. But the Olympics, a lot of people are torn on, right? Myself personally, I think more eyes on BMX, the better, right? It gets more people involved and makes our sport better. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to cultivate the sport and keep it growing in the right direction, right? Like if it was an Olympic sport, what would it be by now, man? It would just be a bunch of just bike riders doing extreme gladiator sport, right? So it's cool to see the professionalism of everyone nowadays. And like, remember how BMX jerseys went away, and then now they're back. Now everyone's representing their countries with jerseys on the world stage and stuff. Now that's pretty sweet to see. And yeah, the Olympics is definitely cool. Sometimes I can't justify me going to some uh, world stops because it's like a $3,000 trip, and then you go to Hiroshima, Japan, like last weekend for the World Cup, and then it rained the entire time, and then you get 5 minutes of practice, and then you're into an immediate final. And that doesn't sound very fun for me, man. Like I'm just a bike rider trying to wow my younger self.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. That's super unfortunate, you know, that they got rained out. And it seems like a really stressful thing to take on as a, you know, potential Olympic athlete. Like it is just that's all part of BMX, right? Like unless the course is going to be built inside, then you basically kind of have to live with that, which is really doesn't seem fun. And I kind of hope that Cycling Canada is a little bit better this time around for BMX, because I know that for the first Olympics, there was a lot of dudes that really wanted to represent Canada. And unfortunately, Canada wasn't even on the ticket at all for the Olympics. We were not in it for BMX. And that really was a bummer. You know, we have such great potential here with people like yourself, Mike Varga, Jaden Chipman, and so many other awesome BMX dudes.
Yeah, which is kind of whack with the numbers game because at our last national, we only had 9 UCI Elite male riders. And so compared to the States where they have like hundreds of PCI riders, right? That's where the numbers game of the selection of Olympics happens, right? And uh, Dave Thomas, he's the GM of Joyride. You've known him. He's been on your show. But
Yep.
he's been taking the role of the coach at Cycling Canada, and so he could dive in way more in depth with you about it. But from what I've seen from going out to the national last time and stuff, is everything's growing in the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight, but now it's sweet being that like Mike Farrier won our last national, and Max Chalifour got second, and so 1 and 2 positions now they get funding from Cycling Canada of like 20 grand for first per year and 12 grand for second per year, which will help accommodate them to get to the World Series stops and shit like that. Which is sweet. Doesn't happen overnight, but the jump between the like 2020 or like the 2019 national to the 2023 national has been a way better experience for everyone. So it's the first round was kind of a shit show. Everyone was like, why would we want to have Cycling Canada involved in our personal athletic missions of, winning World Cups and doing this stuff? Like, why would I want to wear a Cycling Canada t-shirt when they don't really sponsor me or help my travels to get here and stuff like that or support me? But now the right steps are in place, and so everything is going well. And I'm excited to see him perform, man. And Maxime and Jeffrey Whaley, they apply themselves the most of anyone. They do tons of stunt shows, and that's how they get to support their Olympic dreams, which is awesome. Because even if it's not 24 in France, you got 2028 in Sydney or 2032 in LA, man. So we got lots of years. And I think Daniel Dares, he got a silver medal in the Olympics, and he was like over 40 years old, man. So it's a long game for sure.
Fuck yeah, dude. And hearing that Dave Thomas is involved is awesome, because I think that when it comes to that, we're in good hands. Dave is a really passionate dude about BMX. He's obviously the GM of Joyride, so he's had a ton of experience in this industry. And the guy is super knowledgeable when it comes to BMX, and I think he's definitely going to point us in the right direction. And that gives me a lot of hope for Canadian BMX riders in the Olympics. And I'm definitely excited to see where it goes. I think this time around might be a lot better, which is awesome.
Yeah, which is sweet, because like Cycling Canada will send you all these policies on all the rules that you have to do to get the funding that you belong and how many stops that you have to go to, and do all the rules of this big page document. But if you follow the rules, you can do it.
Hell yeah, man! That's
and it's pretty much with the coach's discretion too, right? Like I don't think like Varga is getting the funding right now because coach's discretion is Varga just cares to ride monster events and make his sponsors happy, where Max and Jeffrey, they want to apply themselves to perform on the world stage, and as they should, right? It's like coach's discretion. So Dave Thompson can tell you more about it and tell you the real breakdown of it. But that's what I know on the outside looking in from being the only guy from Alberta at the national this year.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, good on you for representing Alberta, and I think you probably did a really good job at representing your province and showing what the Alberta BMX scene really brings to Canada.
Oh yeah, man. I just went there and did my favorite tricks and just rode like I always do, man. I didn't really put myself on the pressure cooker just because I know it's all about the long game, and right there, it's all about just putting on a good show and having the most fun during the contest, right? As long as you're having fun, you're going to win. Ride like you always do. It's good. I was doing cat wheelies in my contest run. It was hilarious.
Fuck yeah. That's sick. Now, a couple minutes ago, I was telling you that I really wanted to ask about double flips. Now, the double flip is such a wild trick, and you're one of those dudes that has it on lock, it seems like. You're super consistent with them. I've seen you throw them pretty much anywhere. You know, how did you really like chase down the double flip and make it part of your you know, go-to tricks essentially?
Hmm. Yeah, the double flip is nothing more than just like a 720. Really, it's just full prey, hang on, and believe in yourself. Because if you stop believing, you'll turn sideways, and then your crash will be way worse. And I've been through the ringer of crashing on many, many double flips in my time. I've been doing them for like the past 6 years or whatever since I was like 17. I've been doing backflips since I was like 11, so I've been doing like backflips for like 15 years and double flips for like 6 years. And so what it really comes down to is just like having your aerial awareness, right? When kids play on trampolines their entire childhood, they understand where they are in there, so you know how to get out of things. And backflips are pretty chill to get out of because even if you eject upside down and you can just tuck back up, your momentum will take you through the jump. Your bike won't land on you, and you'll land on your feet most of the time. And so a double flip is just kind of same principles apply. And for the people at home who want to do them, all you really got to do is go off like a nice 6 foot lip box jump, and then just kind of pull up, keep your elbows up and your head straight back, and hold the position through the entire time. Pull, pray, and just hold position really, because uh, if you break the position and you turn your head to the side, it affects your spin a lot. And then you'll land sideways, and then you whiplash yourself on the landing, and it sucks. It's easier just to like under rotate it in position and just take it to the chest, or like snap the head tube off your bike compared to turning sideways and then taking the blow to the back of your head. It's not that bad, really. But anyone could do it. You just gotta be willing to take the crash if you want to do it.
Dude, that's wild. It sounds like you might have some experience blowing the head tube right off your frame doing double flips.
Oh yeah, man. I've been on a double flip curse on the black line at Beeline for the past 3 years. I've tried to double back with that black line and put on real show for the spectators there. And so the first year I tried on the last jump of the black line at Beeline, and very last jump, jump number 6, coming back, final jump, hold prey, hold position, and sure enough, just nose case it and snap the head tube right off. Bike goes flying in the air. Freaking on my stomach, break dancing on the ground. It was hilarious. And year after that, I tried on the third jump, practically do the same thing, where I just nose case, break the head tube, and then throw my hands in the air and get the people worked up. And then, sure enough, like a month ago, when we had the FMB bronze event, Brawler Jam at Beeline, I tried it again on the one after the berm. And sure enough, I was like, yeah, this is the one, I can do it. And so I ripped the berm, I jump in the waterfall, pump, pull, pray, hang on, hold position. And sure enough, I was just about a couple inches out and just nose case and then eat it right to the bottom of the course, right to the bottom of the course again, right? So, story of my life, just a couple inches out. And I don't know, it's fun, man. Maybe I'll try it again.
Dude, you got to get that before, the inevitable happens and Beeline closes, which, man, again, I so don't want that to happen, but I would absolutely love to see that double flip before it does happen.
Yeah, definitely it's got to go down sooner or later, but as long as you're learning tricks, you're going to break parts, right? And so I'd beat myself up thinking I break my bike all the fucking time. It sucks. You need to buy a new bike all the time, but that just shows your progression. Like I've broken from when I was 12, the SEA LVX, Colony Sweet Tooth, a 2 total TWSs, 2 S&Ms. Like it's pretty much like a bike every 2 years, man. And if it's not the frame, it's gonna be the fork or the bar. So if you're not breaking shit, you're not learning. If you're not crashing, you're not trying hard enough. So get out there and start breaking shit.
Absolutely. I have my fair share of broken frames just throughout my house, to be honest. There's a Sub Rosa double top tube frame that I can see. You guys can't see it, but or maybe you can if I use the top down camera. Let's see here. Nope, cannot. But yeah, there's a Sub Rosa double top tube frame in my office. I've broken two of those. I have the last one, which is my warranty frame. I've broken two BSD beverage frames, a We the People cream frame. What else? There's a couple other ones in there too, and I've broken a set of forks. That was rough, man. I got really fucked up breaking a set of forks. I was jumping a box jump and it just snapped off the front and just woke up on the ground. Had to pick up my tooth that had come out and go to the hospital right away. It was not fun.
That's wild. Was that kind of your most dramatic injury through the career, or have you had another best personal injury?
Dude, all my injuries are like fucking teeth related, which is so rough because I actually really try to take care of my teeth. But at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm getting veneers. You know, it's rough.
Yeah, I read you on that one. It's like you're not a real BMX rider unless you have stitches on the bottom of your chin from face planting. You know.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was explaining to somebody I work with a couple weeks ago that a good sign of like a skateboarder when you see them is their shins are going to be like super messed up from the skateboard. And then I was like, a good sign that you're hanging out with a BMX rider is his shins are also going to be fucked up, but he's going to have a scar on his chin or he's going to be missing teeth for sure. Like one of those, that's a true lifer right there.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's the medical. So that's one of the things you get for free if you want to be a BMX rider. You get stitches on the chin, broken teeth. You get back pain. You get arthritis,
knee injuries.
For free. Yeah, knee injuries.
Oh man, I love it. There's a great clip of Sean Burns talking about how he finds it more difficult to walk down the street than just to hop on his bike and just pedal, which I think is hilarious. It's like, yep, that's he's like a great example of that though, right? Like he is the true like sender of the streets. So
yeah, gladiator.
Definitely.
Cool. And yeah, I don't know, man. I find it hard to like explain to the moms at Beeline that their kid just broke their frame, and I'm trying to explain to them like, no, that just means he's learning and he's progressing so fast. And they're like, well, we just bought him this $800 complete BMX bike, and he already broke the pedals off it, or he bent the sprocket, right? Because he's learning grinds. I was like, well, that just means he's progressing, he's learning. And I try to like break it down with them, but sometimes it's hard to talk to an aggravated parent about their broken BMX bike and steer them into the direction being like, buy more stuff from us. But
yeah, dude, I get that. I think over the years BMX bikes have only got better. When you buy a complete bike now, if you spend upwards of $1,500, you're gonna get yourself a completely dialed bike just out of the box, which is pretty sweet. Like I definitely don't think that when I first started that you could spend that much and get a dialed bike with everything you wanted. But at the same time, it is one of those things where you are going to break shit. You are going to have to buy new stuff. And that's what makes BMX so cool too, right? Like I don't want a bike that I can get out of a box. I want a bike like this that fucking nobody has, right? It's such a weird, like unique thing. And everybody's bike is different, which is really cool. And I get it. Some parents probably look at that and they're like, oh, it's just more money I got to spend. But I don't know, take your kid out of hockey. Like you're in Canada. There's some other like thing that your kid probably does that's more expensive. So
yeah, it's sick. For like $1,200, you can get a full chromoed out BMX bike with stick pedals, stick bars, heat treated front and back triangles for your bike frame for the stick, like
free coaster, 4 pegs, everything.
Yeah. Dude, I started bike riding when I was like in 2010, right? So like when I was, 8 years old or whatever, I got like a We the People Feed 16-inch. Then I got a We the People Arcade 18-inch. And then I got to like learn tail whips on the 18-inch bike. And so my dad was like, all right, now that you learn tail whips, I'll buy you like a sick new pump set. And he's like, all right, now that you're done destroying your wheels and learning tail whips, bashing off the ground, we'll get you hooked up with like some profile hubs and some nice rims to it, right? And so from there, it was pretty sick. Like when the moms at Beeline asked me if they should buy their kid profile parts, I was like, let them learn tail whips and then buy them the nice shit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You
Like
got to be.
when they're first learning, they shouldn't buy like the nicest parts and shit. You should just buy like some mid-grade shit, and then when your kid's pretty dialed, he will deserve nice stuff, man. And there's a certain amount of pride that you get when you get to ride profile and S&M parts, man, because those companies hire and employ BMX riders. All BMX riders work in the BMX shop in the factory. So you see a certain amount of pride from those parts on your bike.
Dude, absolutely. Yeah, having those parts on your bike, I mean, you just have the best parts, right? You have the best parts within BMX, not only because they are physically the best, but they do the most for their, riders and for their employees and everything else. Like, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Profile and S&M are really setting the standard pretty high for BMX, you know?
Mm. Yeah, and it just kind of comes down to like you got to support the brands that support BMX and all the things that they do. That's why I'm super behind working with Timeless and Profile. And the good news is Timeless just started distroing S&M as well. So now Timeless has grown to distro United, Fit, S&M, Profile, Fastmover stuff. You have Relic as well from Ashley Charles. And we also have stuff from Bicycle Union as well. So if you need like some gloves or shin pads, all the cool Bicycle Union stuff, everything like that, which is sick. I mean, United is kind of what got me into BMX riding is when they sent their team up here to the Northwest tour or whatever. In that video, the pros came through my bike park, and now, sure enough, 10 years later, now I'm still talking about it.
Dude, it's wild, eh? It is super sick to see like Timeless having such timeless brands, right? Like Relic is one of those companies that kind of popped up in the last few years, and I'm absolutely loving everything from Relic. Super cool. I got to get some parts just to support, and then like you were saying, S&M, dude, the best, right? Like super super cool. United, come on, that's what I'm riding, right? You gotta support that. But yeah, I'm excited to see where Lazaruk's able to take everything with that.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely gotta support Andrew on this mission because it's a hard fleet, man, and he's not even working with his previous business partner Sean either. So it's just like solely Andrew behind Timeless, and he's the guy sending out all the mail orders, taking care of all of it. So he's got some pretty big shoes to fill, man, and he's been owning this role pretty good, man, and he's been the glue holding us together at the BMX jams, making sure everyone's happy and has a bike to ride. And it's pretty sweet, man, because it's pretty tough where it's a revolving door of some brands come up, hang around for a couple years, and they go down, right? And so it's pretty cool to think about the legacy that like 10 Pack and McNeil has left, and then after they're done doing their thing, 1664, Brink Distro did their thing, pushing the scene, and now Timeless is just kind of taking the torch and running with it, and so we're trying to make as best impressions as we can to keep cultivating the sport and keep kids riding bikes.
Absolutely, man. Is there anything from the mid-school era that you would love to see make a return, like parts wise or even like riding styles? I feel like railed seats have been kind of slowly coming back, and that's something that Relic does and a couple other brands. But yeah, anything in mind for you?
Yeah, I'd like to see people put on front brakes more often, but not even just for your classic front brake tricks, doing nose pick Canadians and nose pick on quarter pipes. But think about how many more tricks it opens up when you have front brakes, and you can do a Ryan Nyquist backflip double bar spin suicide no hander. Because the secret is you hit your front brake and you can fill the bars and your bike won't go away. It'll just spin magically while you're upside down doing it. So like even like a 360 suicide no hander, you gotta tap your front brake and then do the suicide no hander, and your wheel will stay perfectly straight. And so hopefully more people put on more pegs and brakes and fast guard sprockets to keep having the doors open for all these tricks, right? Because if you're just riding a jump bike, you're just gonna do jump tricks. And that gets pretty boring after a while, man.
Yeah, definitely. I can't remember if I asked this when Ryan Nyquist was on the show, but do you remember when he did the remote control bar spin where they had like a motor set up and like a controller, and somebody on the sidelines could literally like flick the switch and it would do a bar spin for him?
Oh yeah. I haven't thought about that in a long time.
Yeah, that's one of those
But
things that I think
it's been a
happened.
while.
I think it happened right when you were kind of starting riding, but I cannot remember if I asked him this, but I was really curious if he held on to the bars and just like did like a no foot can and somebody hit the switch if it would do a tail whip, right? Like I feel like it would, but I cannot remember if I had the chance to ask him that or not.
That's wild. Maybe we'll get Coach Ryan back on the show sometime.
It would be sick. I'd love to chat with him again.
Mm. Yeah, so yeah, it would be cool to see more front brake tricks, obviously. Kind of answer to that.
Definitely. I think it's this time of the show where we go to the fan questions. What do you think?
Yeah, let's run through them. What do we got?
So first off, we got Harvester Bikes. He's asking, what's the best skate park you've ever ridden?
Best skate park. Skate parks all around features between, I don't know, Bull Park and high ledges, higher than 1 foot high. I probably I like Penticton Skate Park a lot. That one's really special because it's got a magnificent bowl and it goes up to like 8 foot quarter pipes there. The quarter pipes there are nice and mellow. They're not like skater transitions, but they're way tighter. Where it's like all new line skate parks that have been popping up are all built like that. So yeah, Penticton is really good that way because all their ledges are like 2.5 feet tall high, like 2.5 feet high. They're not 1 foot high ledges for skateboarders. It's like you can actually get down on them and have fun. And then yeah, the transitions there are really sweet, and the bowl is one of a kind. And they have that peninsula feature right in the front as well, with right in the bowl, which is super challenging. It's not like a perfect jump. It's super challenging to jump, but if you go fast enough, you can flip that thing if you try.
Dude, that is wild. That's sick. I love that you can just flip whip basically anything. There's an awesome clip of you flip whipping a spine, and the dude's filming it on a 360 camera, and it's just so gnarly, dude.
Yeah, so the peninsula spine there, it's about a bike length width of peninsula. And so the Penticton Skate Park used to have this contest series called Canadian Concrete. And so Canadian Concrete used to be like a wicked concrete series for people from all over to come out and show their talents. And get some exposure in Western Canadian BMX scene. So Penticton has always been a landmark for BMX there. And then each year at Timeless's Penticton and Ferdo Jam, I've been trying to like kind of push the envelope and keep it original, trying to find like another new trick to do there. So like one of the first years there, I went there and did like a switch 540 flare, and that was pretty fun. But I don't think I'd ever do that trick again. That trick feels fucking wild. And so the next year I was like, oh yeah, we got to learn to jump that peninsula. And so I got in my head this picture of me jumping over the hills of Penticton. And so I started, getting obsessed about it. I was like, oh yeah, I got to do it. And so finally, when it was time to drive from Calgary to Penticton, 7 hours later, me driving, thinking about this flip whip on it, I was like, yeah, it has to be done. And so I ended up doing it like 3 times in a row, and I was trying to clear it fully and get the transition right perfectly. But it was super challenging because it was hard to push through the peninsula because it's very kicky. And so I'd always bag my back tire on the coping as I'd go through. But after 3 times of doing it like 3 times in a row and pushing my luck that far, I was kind of okay not doing it again. I kind of have like this rule of 3. It's like I'll try shit 3 times in a row, and if I don't do it, I'll just skip that trick leave for another day, right? Just because some tricks are super risky. Why do you want to keep battling it when you can just lose the battle, win the war, and try again next time?
Absolutely, man. That clip with the 360 camera just blows my mind anytime I see it. It's super sick. So good on you for getting that and pulling it. It's super, super wild. Moving on from that, we got one here from BMX Schemo, and he says best donair shop in Calgary or southern Alberta to stop at on a BMX trip.
My personal preference for a donair shop is this local shop in Airdrie where I grew up. So when you come and ride Airdrie Skate Park, rip the shit out of that snake run, and you're hungry after that, you can hit up this place called Pita Basket Airdrie, and the chef behind it, you can find him on Instagram at Chef Row YYC. He's baller. He wears a Gucci hat. He's slanging donairs like crazy, man. He serves it up proper, and he garnishes that shit with parsley every time. It looks great, and it's a great experience every time I've been there. They've been open for at least 5 years now, and I'm big fan of falafel houses and donair shops now because of that guy.
Fuck yeah, that's dope. Why don't you tell our US or any other listeners what donair is? Because I feel like it's become kind of a popular thing in Canada. There's some great clips of even the Trailer Park Boys getting donair from their show years and years and years ago.
Yeah, it's cool. When you walk into the donair shop, you see this big org of mystery meat revolving around the cylinder, and then usually they have like a little katana or a little samurai sword, and they like shave off the meat for you and then grill it another time and then put it in your donair. So a donair is just like a pita wrap, a couple pita wraps with like a bunch of sweet sauce, hummus, sriracha, whatever you fancy, all your pickled turnips and lettuce and ketchup and tomatoes and whatever you fancy. But the reason it's so good is the mystery meat has some real mysteries behind it, and it's super salty and delicious. I don't know what's in it. It's huge. You'll never unsee it once you see it. And I don't know, man. I'd do it again if I could.
That's awesome. I love it. And just another question here from BMX Schemo. He says, on a 9 out of 10 scale, how much did I influence you?
10 out of 10 BMX Schemo.
There you go. And then this one comes in from Beatrice, aka BBMX. Shout out to Beatrice. She runs the Bloom, which is an all-women's BMX website, and she's doing a ton for women within BMX. And you guys can go back to episode 30, I believe it was, where we had Beatrice on. Yeah, I love her, man. She's so great. But she asks, Ask about Canadian media and why he thinks it's important to cover it.
Yeah, I think it's super important to cover Canadian BMX media, and yeah, Northern Embassy BMX.com is doing a great job of it too, right? Because he gets to showcase kids from small towns on his Instagram, or he gets to showcase jam content or stuff like that, and he features everyone's edits. He hosts video premieres and gets the people stoked. So Justin Schranke, he lives up near Edmonton or somewhere right now, but he's been working with Fudger at RBMX and been getting sent around to like some world cups and helping Fudger do some stuff like that. But yeah, Northern Embassy has been holding it down. They're really sweet to see, and you should check out Northern Embassy website because they've even made like a little 2023 highlight reel of the best videos that came out and stuff like that, and they do a great job of just showcasing everyone's videos, pumping people up, and it's kind of like the come up for Canadian BMX with anonymous comments and whatever you want to write on the forum, you can.
Definitely, dude. Yeah. Obviously, Northern Embassy, they've been super good within Canadian BMX media. People will remember when I had Corey from Floodway, also rep set. He was awesome, dude. Corey Beal, he's great. He definitely did his fair share for Canadian BMX media, which is awesome. And then one of my favorite Instagram accounts right now is Canuck BMX. It's all Canadian BMX stuff. Just to basically anybody. I've gotten a couple reposts from them, which is awesome. I'm a big fan of them. They've been really doing a good job at showcasing Canadian BMX.
Yeah, I like that dude. He lives in Canmore, Alberta, just like 45 minutes from here. And he makes this cool sticker of the Misfits face, but it says Canuck BMX in his logos, and I have that shit on my helmet and never taken that off, dude. That sticker is sick. So keep pressing them, brother.
Fuck yeah, I love it. This one comes in from Nate's Instajam. He says, "Worst injury?" ?
Yeah, worst injury that landed me in the hospital for like 5 days is I was trying to reenact Drew Bezanson line that he did in his edit at Beeline a couple of years ago, maybe like I don't know, 3-4 years ago. When I was a second year apprentice at the time, so I just finished trade school for my second year, and then the breakdown of this injury was Drew does this huge wall ride after the box jump where he comes into the vert wall, above the vert wall, rides on the concrete of the wall, and then jumps into the pillar. The catch is there's a little kitty catcher before the wall, and so beeline is you hit the box, you have to go over this kitty catcher, and then you hit the wall. So for me to get an adamant amount of speed for this impossible wall ride that Drew makes look so easy is just drop in from a sub box in the corner of the park, pedal as fast as I can doing a wheelie, and then propel myself up the wall. And that was the plan. However, it didn't go to plan, and the kitty catcher caught my kitty, and I ended up going ass over tea kettle into the wall and getting like the bar end right to the guts, right to the kidney. And so I ended up like lacerating my kidney and pissing blood for like 5 days, and had to get like a blood transfusion to get my hemostatic rate back up, some white blood cells in me. And so partied at the intensive care unit for like 5 days, and they didn't even take out my kidney. They just let it bleed for a little bit and then sent me on my way.
Dude, that is fucking wild. Yeah, that's a crazy story. Definitely never pissed blood. Not there yet. What a fucking
man. Drew makes it look
thing.
easy, man. He just pedals. He didn't even pedal in with his 32 sprocket, but I'm like maxing out at it. And yeah, Drew's a superhuman.
Absolutely, dude. I'm excited to see Drew get back into things. He's still pushing hard and trying to make it happen, and I love it, dude. He's perfect embodiment of BMX. You know, he's down on his luck at the moment, but he's going to make it happen, and I love it.
Yeah, he's flying out to Calgary in a couple weeks, and he's starting a new treatment at the medical center here in Calgary, and so he's going to be hanging out here for like 2 to 3 months or whatever in Calgary, working on his brain treatment, and so hopefully we can hang out and do some cool BMX shit. Like, Drew's definitely going through a lot, and who knows how he wants to present himself to all the kids and stuff, right? Because he's not who he was, and he's a new individual. But I really appreciate the shit he shares on his story, and it always makes me feel better after I go on Drew's stories and watching some of the motivational stuff he shares. It's super sweet.
Absolutely, man. He's one of those dudes that I think everybody could look up to in a way, you know? He's done a lot for BMX, and he's definitely proved his worth in the BMX world.
Yeah, kudos to that guy. See him soon.
Fuck yeah. This one comes in from Tony Radcliffe Sucks. He says, if you could erase one trick from BMX, what would it be? Is it a trick you dislike, or is it a trick you struggle with?
It's not a trick I struggle with, but a trick that I wasn't very hot on. If I could erase one trick from BMX, it would probably be crank flips, just because it doesn't look very impressive and theatrical to the show. And the reason I love BMX is because it is theatrical and crazy looking. And so when I was growing up, 13 years old in middle school, on the come up, watching edits all day, I'd be watching Instagram slams with Adam22 and Stevie Churchill and Brandon Began. And I just really didn't like the crank flips to feeble grinds from Brandon Began that much, you know? Just crank flips.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. I feel the same. You know when I love a crank flip is when it's done with a bar spin. Father Pig, BMX, he's kind of a local guy. He's around my area. He's been on the show. He's great, dude. Devin is such an unreal rider. But he has the helicopter on lock, which is obviously the bar spin and crank flip at the same time. That, to me, is like such an awesome BMX trick. You know, you do a double peg up a rail and then throw that out of it. Dude, come on. That's fucking sweet.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. But, I don't know, tricks are cool.
Yeah.
But some tricks are cooler than other tricks.
Yeah, I definitely think crank flips are they're one of those ones that I personally haven't went out to learn because I'm not that interested. But like I said, the helicopter is pretty sick when you do a crank flip with a bar spin. I really wanted Devin to do a curved wall ride to that, and we like went there and we were looking at it and he was trying it, but yeah, it just wasn't gonna happen. But and then Tony Radcliffe Sucks also asks, is there a certain trick you would prefer or is easier to do on a mountain bike?
Yeah, pretty much all tricks would be pretty much easier on a mountain bike because they feel like monster trucks. Like when I ride my fully or whatever, I backflip that thing, you just kind of backflip it. And I feel like I could do like a freaking special Greg flip. I could do a super flip, candy bar, anything that you see like Curtis Downs doing. It's like, it's not that hard, but if you do it on a BMX, man, that takes like the most amount of precision possible because it's very wiggly and things move a lot faster. It's like a race car compared to a monster truck. So, certain trick you prefer easier on a mountain bike? Yeah. I don't know. I'd rather do that bar hop backflip on a mountain bike. That'd be way fucking easier.
I love it.
That was that fucking Darkfest or whatever, man. That'd be way easier than on a BMX bike, man.
Yeah, dude. That would be pretty sick. I would love to see you at fucking Darkfest. That would be wild.
I don't know. I'm still young and dumb and don't have arthritis yet, man. So definitely gonna ride out this BMX life as long as I can.
There you go. I love it. This one comes in from Kyle Vandelin. He asks, best concrete bowl to stop at if I was driving through Calgary to BC.
Sweet. I'll interpret that as driving to Calgary to Vancouver. And so this can be like a double part question. So probably the bowl to ride. Probably Penticton Bowl, because that one's pretty much the best in the Okanagan. And so if you take the number 3 going to Vancouver, you can hit Okanagan. You can go to the Kelowna and through the Okanagan Valley and hit Penticton. But if you take the fast route to Vancouver, you'll go through the 97A or whatever, and you go up through Merritt and Kamloops. And Kamloops Bowl is pretty sick too. Kamloops and Penticton, you should definitely hit both of those. And whatever way you go to Vancouver. If you take the fast way, hit Kamloops. If you want to take the slow way, go to Penticton.
Fuck yeah. This one comes in from my favorite co-host, Hit Him with Caleb. He says, how many fireworks did you get hit by at Swampfest?
I got hit by so many fireworks, man. By the end of it, I was so desensitized to fireworks, man. I was just there with my Pit Viper safety glasses on, my hood up, and I was kind of over it by the end, man. Where like the mortar mirage just keeps going off or whatever, but by the end of it, all you kind of do is just kind of turn around, and you don't really give a damn anymore, man. It's like my hoodie's already burnt anyways. Just like hit me with it. Doesn't really matter that much.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it definitely looked bad for it this year. You know, there's a lot of fireworks getting blown off at people, which I mean, it's Swampfest, dude. What else? What else are you gonna be doing? You know?
Yeah, just during the event was annoying, but beyond that, when it's in the mosh pit, when you're in the mosh pit, you're wanting to get messy. So, but that's the experience. That's what you're there for.
That's the difference between X Games and Swampfest. People shooting fireworks at you and a whole bunch of mud and alligators.
Yeah, anything goes.
That's right. All righty, we got a few here from DP. So good. He said, "What's your inspiration?"
Sweet. What's my inspiration is pretty much just trying to pay it all forward now and keep the torch blazing, you know, because the path has already been blazed by like guys like Darcy Peters, who's had complete bikes and custom parts, and he's been a local pro in Calgary from 1664, and he's done a tremendous amount to the scene here, right? And so what inspires me is him taking me under his wing, and now it's inspiring to me just to try and pay it forward, right? And so the goal of all of this is just to try and make sure the kids at Beeline get the same experience that I've gotten out of BMX.
I love it, dude. And in a not so serious question, he asks, popcorn or cop porn?
Popcorn.
I feel the same way. And then he also asked, dick-sized nipples or nipple-sized dick, which I think we all know what the answer to this is.
Yeah, dick-sized nipples, man. Stack them.
Yeah, that's right. What's your top memory of your BMX journey?
I don't know. One that will stick with me for a long time, man, is just like when I first got to learn backflips, that was pretty sweet, man. Like I've done very special things through the career so far, but the one that will definitely stick with me forever is that first feeling of me believing in myself and learning how to backflip for the first time. And so how it went down when I was 11 years old. My brother was 13, I was 11. My dad brought an older kid from the skate park too, Mitchell. He was like 17, and he drove us 1,000 kilometers to Whistler. Took us to Whistler Aerodome. They had a foam pit. It was the only foam pit in Western Canada at the time, and we went there on a mission to learn backflips. And sure enough, bringing the older kid with us on that BMX road trip kind of fired us up to learn backflips. And so it was super fun there. Reese Wallace was working at Aerodome at the time, and we had to have brakes on to ride the Aerodome. But our brakes did not work. We put the levers and the brake cables on, but like no calipers. It was just something to beat the inspection, to like go in and ride the park, and it was fun.
That's awesome. I've definitely seen people do that in the past. That's a hilarious thing. Yeah, just toss the parts on, fuck it, tape the cable on if you have to. I love it.
Yeah. What else you got?
We also got this one from DP So Good. Are you ever going to get a van and travel around riding?
Good question, Darcy. Ever gonna get a van? Probably not. I've seen a lot of friends go into vans, and then after a couple years, they get out of the van. So the van life doesn't seem that very good, man. And like, I don't know. I like to be homeless by choice on specific weekends of my year, but I don't want to be homeless by choice for like 6 months of my year. I don't know. I kind of like having a comfy stability life compared to just van life. And
Dude, I feel the same way. I was like so interested in like schoolies and like van life and everything a few years ago. And a lot of it was like I really wanted to travel and do my podcast with pros all over the world, just like in person, right? Pull up in the van, go and check out a skate park with these guys, or go ride some street and then do a show afterwards. And it's still like one of those things that I'm like, oh, it'd be awesome to do that. But you know what? The stability in my life these days has been a lot better. And I think that because of that, I've learned a lot, you know? And yeah, I don't know how I'd feel about it. I think I'll have to kind of wait it out and maybe one day, you know?
yeah, being homeless by choice is fun. Like for some weekends when you want to be homeless and go on a BMX trip, but homeless not by choice ain't very fun, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And last one from Darcy Peters here. He says, who are some of your biggest supporters?
Oh, cool. Well, Darcy definitely supports me, man. He's let me play with all his camera gear. He's taught me a lot. He's supported me a ton over the years. So it's been sweet. Another couple of guys in my corner that helped me ride and get me in the right direction is like Ryan at Beeline for the past 6 years. He's been super welcoming and let me do anything I want at Beeline ever. Like sometimes you just mod the park and have private sessions and we just ride. We do anything we want. It's hilarious just because Ryan's super cool and he believes in us. It's sweet. Also, coming back from Swampfest, Matt Copeland at Profile Racing, man, he's been supporting me a ton for the past couple years too, man. So, Swampfest is a sick trip because I get to, build a relationship with Matt Copeland and see one of the coolest guys in the BMX world out there. Hang out with him.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's meaned a lot to me in the past couple years that like Andrew at Timeless Distro, he's believed in me and thinking that I'm not gonna burn out and fall off the world, and thinks it's worth sponsoring me for all these bike parts that I keep breaking, So that shit means the world to me, man. So definitely thankful for those guys supporting me. And it's been fun, man, getting to learn with different people and networking in the right direction. Like my friends at the camera store in Calgary, they've been teaching me how to use my camera better, and so it's been super fun.
Dude, that's dope.
And yeah, dude, it's been a trip, man, and I don't know, it's fun, man. Just keep networking, growing, making new friends. Like we had a trail jam in Calgary at the Loose Moose Trails, and one of our friends from S&M Bikes, James Murphy, he came out and he hung out for the weekend, rode the shit out of the trails, and it was a Halloween jam. He dressed up as Caddyshack. It was sweet. I dressed up like an astronaut, and yeah, even James, he's been helping me with bike parts that I keep breaking for some reason.
Oh man, that's great. Yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of people in your corner, and that's dope, man. It's good to hear.
Yeah, that shit means the world to me, man, because oh man, buying a lot of bike parts hurts the guy's wallet sometimes. So I try to go on as many trips as I can this year. So by lessening my personal expenses of bike parts, it means I can go on more trips, do
Absolutely.
more shows.
Alrighty, this one comes in from Grimcat BMX. Ask him if he's got real lots, or why not PA?
Sweet. So I think PA is like Pennsylvania in America.
Yeah.
He's got real lots, and why not PA? I don't really know how to interpret that question, but I'll go on a tangent about the West Coast Canadians in the world. Best dirt here. We have Cedarwood, Cedar Trail Villas. We have Loose Moose in Calgary. We have Rev Trails. We have all the trails on the island, like Spook, a bunch of bike parks. We have Heavy Nettle Trails. We used to have Kush Trails, but rest in peace, Kush Trails. And so we have a pretty sweet amount of trails out here. But my friends like Alexander Boyd, he went to PA recently, Pennsylvania, and riding all that stuff, Hazelwood and into Pittsburgh at the Hallahands and stuff. And so I'm definitely jealous of where he's gone riding dirt, but eventually through my career I'll definitely get up there, man.
I love it,
But
man.
right now I'm just riding the high of Western Canada, man. There's so much stuff to ride here, man, but eventually I'll get bored and I'll try and get down there.
Fuck yeah. This one actually comes in from your buddy, Boyd. He says, how come you're so good at digging snow out of bowls, but not so good to dig at the trails?
Good question, Boyd. So funny you say that. I was actually at the outdoor park, Airdrie Park today, shoveling snow out of the bowl. And the reason I love shoveling snow and ice out of bowls over trails in his perspective is when I was growing up, the older BMX riders told me that if you dig all the snow out of the bowl, it'll be 7 years of good luck. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm gonna dig all the snow out of the bowl, and I'll be throwing snow out of the 9-foot bowl like for the entire month of April because we get like extreme winters here, right? And yeah, I haven't had much for trail love growing up, but it's been definitely a cool culture to get into, and sharing the stoke with Boyd at the trails, like at Loose Moose in Calgary now, is super cool. Because when I was super young, kids don't ride the trails like at Lucy Trails back in the day in Calgary and stuff like that, but it's definitely fun. It gives you a certain amount of therapy digging at the trails. But I kind of find that therapy of like using my camera and filming other people. Like, I don't like to ride every day, where it's like trail riders don't like to ride every day. They like to dig half days, you know, dig most days. It's like I like to use my camera to kind of segregate how much I ride and how much I film other people and stuff.
Yeah, dude, I fully understand that. I felt like for years doing like video projects and also doing the podcast and whatnot, you know, as much as I love trail riding, I don't know if I have the time, dude. It's like such a dedication in its own, you know. Huge respect to dudes that are out there building trails and putting in the work, because it takes a lot, you know. Like, as much as I would love to be out there doing it, I don't know if I can fully commit to that amount of time and still do my podcast and still, you know, have a daily life that I live outside of things. Like, I'm also just one of those people that gets so ingrained in one thing, and that was something that I had to kind of come to terms with over the last like year and a half of not doing the show, was that it's good to take a step back and not fully focus on one thing and one thing only.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, man. It's fun to work on different sides of the spectrum. Like, I like working my shitty pipe fitting job, laboring my ass off, but then I like going to ride after that, and it gives me the balance I need to love BMX more, because working a shit job sucks.
Yeah, fair enough. Alrighty, this is the last fan question, and it comes in from early 2000s BMX. That's one of those accounts that if you guys are not following, you absolutely should be going and following. James does such a good job at really promoting the Midschool era and just, you know, early 2000s BMX. He's doing an awesome thing with that account. He asks, were you inspired by Adam Steinby to learn the inverter? He was also the first to do the flip whip.
Super, what a question. I got to chat with our friend early 2000 BMX at Swampfest this past other weekend. It's a great question, and That question might be a little over my head and over my time. I was born in 2002, and so my age influence comes from freaking some from 2010 onwards, man. Where Dew Tour used to be the biggest contest in BMX, and X Games wasn't concrete skater bowls, but that backflip tail whip is like the best feeling trick in the world, man. There's nothing like a nice floaty backflip tail whip, and you'll listen to Dennis Anderson talk about how that's his favorite trick too, man. There's nothing more peaceful and calming than when you're just focused in on doing a backflip tail whip, where you just autopilot the backflip, do a nice tail whip, and ride rubber side down. It's pretty sweet.
That's dope, man. And the inverter, which is it's hard to explain. I feel like if people are listening to the show, they should go to your Instagram, and there's a clip on there. I'll have it in the footage here if you guys are watching it on YouTube. But the inverter is insane. That's like a backflip, and then you're basically taking your toes and putting them in like the crossbar area of your bars, and just kind of flowing with that. It's really hard to explain. I feel like I should let the guy who does them explain it.
Oh, you mean the Cordova backflip?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the history I was enlightened to was like the guy Joey Cordova from SoCal. He did some Cordova backflips back in the day, and he used to be like an FMX trick too, like a bar trick or whatever. But I'm not super tapped in on the history of it, but that trick feels super wild, and it feels a little more challenging than like a cliffhanger backflip, if you can believe that. More challenging than like a Superman backflip. But yeah, that Cordova backflip is it's challenging because when you extend it more, your rotation speeds up, and when you extend it medium, your rotation goes slow. If you can interpret that, it's kind of like doing like a 360 look back, where it's like the more you click it, the faster your spin will speed up. It's kind of like a backflip heel clicker, or however you want to try and interpret it. But it's a super fun trick, and I don't know, I battled with that one on the Beeline box jump this past month or whatever this year, and I don't know if I'll do it again. I gotta find a pretty cool dirt jump or something cool to get like a cool photo. So until I find a cool photo to shoot of that trick, I'll probably keep that one in the back pocket for a bit.
Man, that's wild. Yeah, that trick just blows my mind, man. I posted that as one of our like promos, basically. And dude, just so nuts. People gotta love that trick. That is like really a great example of your riding and that originality that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, dude, it's a wild feeling trick. I don't know, I think anyone could do it. You just gotta be willing to take the fall if you want to try and do a risky trick like that.
Hell yeah, man. Alrighty, Carson, I got one last question for you. What are your goals in 2024 when it comes to BMX?
Oh, my goals for 24? Just be 10% better, man. Just do all that we do, but just do a little bit better, more refined, and have more fun doing it, man. I don't know. I have a pretty sweet time doing this stuff, but goal is just to keep having good times with my friends and show off what we do a little bit more. So try and influence the youth with more videos on YouTube, showing them how sweet this stuff is, because we got to show off how cool BMX is, man. So one of the best platforms to do it is on YouTube. And so we're going to keep riding BMX bikes on frozen lakes in Alberta. We're going to keep riding BMX bikes through Rings of Fire and stunt shows at the skate parks, contests. We're going to keep giving her, I don't know, maybe build some open loops this year, because I think it would be pretty cool to have an open loop in a stunt show as well. But we'll like space it out. We'll make it like 12 feet tall with an 18-foot gap, so then we can like do a trick in the open loop, and then we'll just land on the airbag or something.
Dude,
I
that
don't know,
sounds
just try and-
wicked.
Yeah, try and make this shit more theatrical, you know? Keep making new jerseys and stuff. Keep handing out more high fives, man. Goal this year is to hand out 1,000,000 high fives.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's awesome. I love it, dude. Carson, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I think that you were the perfect first guest back after such a, hiatus. And it definitely, really helped me kind of get through this, having you come on the show. So thank you so much.
Likewise, Cam. Thanks for having me on your platform and let me share my story. It's been super fun. It's been like 3 hours on this podcast, and it's felt like 30 minutes, man.
Fuck yeah, man. That's the goal. Why don't you shout out anybody that you feel like now?
Sweet. Shout out Beeline Bike Park, man. We're living and thriving as long as we can, so we need your business so we can be here for you. So come ride Beeline Bike Park. DM me. Let's go ride. It's going to be super fun. They got their pro shop going on and promo deals going on all night. If you ever need a house to sleep at on your way to a timeless jam this year, man, I'm in Calgary. Come sleep on my couch, dude. I don't care, man. As long as you ride BMX and you're cool, let's go, man.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love it. Alrighty. And I think we'll call it there. Thank you guys for watching, and thanks for making it to the end of the episode. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace.